This is our BMW versus Audi luxury sedan comparison, featuring the BMW 7 Series, the Audi A8, the BMW 5 Series versus the Audi A6, both in the previous generation, and the all-new generation BMW 5 Series, which can also be bought electrically as i5, as well as the all-new electric Audi A6 e-tron. And later, of course, if you follow our channel, we'll also keep you updated with an all-new generation of the Audi A7. So stay subscribed and also activate the notifications. But so far about these models right here, which one is the best one for you? Which one would I actually take home? Let's find out together. Let's go.
Is this the new king of luxury? The Chinese manufacturers are pushing to the premium and luxury market. Mercedes has presented the EQS. Now BMW says, hold my Bavarian beer, we can do better. But is it true? Can this all-new BMW 7 Series, including the electric i7, be even better than Bentley or Rolls-Royce? We're going to find out together here with Thomas on Autogefühl for you. This one here you can see in the two-tone paint, 12,000 euros or dollars extra. You have the black on the top, and here, for example, the aventurine red on the lower part. Different color combinations are available. Throughout this review, we'll show you different colors, and both the petrol and the electric version will also solve the question, petrol or electric, what is better, especially here in the luxury segment. Huge double kidney here, very impressive. In the extended shadow line, you can get it in all black, but you could also get it in a more subtle note. Here, for example, in the two-tone paint, I think there's a transition between the top paint and the grille, which is not ideal, I think. Or what's your take? Slim integration of the daytime running lights in the top, and this split here, that was highly criticized by a lot of viewers as well, that you have the split between the daytime running light and the real headlamp unit. So I would like to hear your take on the front design here of the 7 Series in the new generation. G70 is the internal code. Join us in the comments. Let's go with the rest. 5.39 m or 212 inches is the length of the all-new BMW 7 Series. Of course, that counts for all the versions, no matter which powertrain you pick. And the interesting thing is that if you consider some of the competitors like a Mercedes EQS or a Neo ET7 or a Tesla Model S, this one here is indeed way longer, and they are pushing in that Bentley or Rolls-Royce direction. Rolls-Royce is of course belonging to the BMW Corporation, and Rolls-Royce doesn't want to hear that, but we can show you some features today that it's actually true that they are pushing even more up market. It will only be available in this long wheelbase version. So far they had the split, for example in Germany, more short wheelbase, in the US the long wheelbase was standard. They say now this is the world car, has just one wheelbase. Makes it simpler for us, definitely. You see, I also dress in two-tone paint today, but I refuse to wear red or wine red trousers for that one. But you can see here, it's not only that split. Here there's another line for that. So it is very, very complicated to use this paint here in the process. That's why it's so expensive. Me personally, I'm more team one tone, so one single paint, but are you team two paint? Also leave me then your comments. Wheels from 19 to 22 inch. These here are already big ones, 21 inch, somewhat still a compromise. Suspension, there will always be adaptive air suspension as standard. An option, there is the so-called driver's package, and this then gives you rear axle steering, anti-roll stabilization, so an even sporty effect, and also better in turning around, turning circle, narrow parking, and so on and so on. So this will also play a major effect. And now very interesting from the drag coefficient, 0.24 here for the BMW 7 Series or i7. And this is worse than some of the competitors, because here usually they go for a raindrop design, but BMW more upright, more space also for the headroom and so on, because they did not go for the raindrop design, rather German Bauhaus, a little bit more upright, and they did some small tweaks for the wind efficiency. You can see it, for example, also right there. So a lot of work in the wind tunnel. But the question is it still very efficient, although they are a little bit worse than the competition in the drag coefficient? But it also has then, you can see here, higher trunk, more space in the rear and so on. So this has more advantages as for this, especially the luxury sedan segment. Soon, of course, more about the range for the i7 when we drive it, and of course this comparison petrol versus electric. Here in the rear, The tail lamps are horizontally drawn, very modern, but still I prefer actually that this does not look this raindrop alike and say like, oh, this is only about wind efficiency. So a very strong design here also, and yeah, in this case then also with a two-tone paint here in the lower part. However, fake exhaust police here on Autogefühl, because yeah, these are tips then the real exhaust on the inside. It's really hard to get it focused here on camera, this detail, this extra strip, and I just wanted to show you when I touch this here, this transition, you can feel no transition at all. This is all perfectly smooth, so incredible paint job. And can you see that? This crystalline structure and the inside of the daytime running lights here on this top part here, this is such an attention to detail. And indeed, never before there were so many interesting details with the 7 Series, and this generation is so much different from the predecessor, also almost like never before. And this vehicle here is deep frozen gray in the color, a matte dark gray color, almost, I would say it's almost matte black, isn't it? But they call it deep frozen gray. Yeah, this finally now fits my outfit even better. And this is also the i7, by the way. But you can pick this color, of course, also for the petrol engine. Where do you see from the exterior if it's the EV or the petrol or maybe also diesel in Europe or the plug-in? Well, the thing is here, the electrified models here have the blue ring around the BMW logo, and that's basically it. The rest, if you want here the double kidney in black with the frame here, again, extended shadow line also on this one, two-tone paint and so on, you decide that on your own, you decide it yourself. It's just, they are more in the strategy, hey, we don't want the EV to look different. That's the 7 Series, and you can pick it in the engine version or the motor version you like. Very interesting approach. What do you think about that? And also at the rear here, the one thing you can see, we have the blue ring here around the BMW logo to differentiate it, and we also have the i7 logo right here. Once again, extended shadow line with blacked out rear lamps for more sinister look. So yeah, this looks really massive, doesn't it? Here it says xDrive 60, that's the first version of the i7. It is also all-wheel drive, one electric motor in the front, one electric motor in the rear. The acceleration figure is 4.7 seconds to 1 kilometer or 62 miles an hour. That's half a second slower than the V8. However, later there will be the M70 version of the i7, which will then be the quickest version of all of the whole lineup. They will also then have some hardware changes to the rear electric motor. Very interesting. The top speed for this one already 240 kilometers an hour or 150 miles an hour. So it's not really much slower than the petrol version. They go a little bit faster, but yeah, I think we can easily live with that even in Germany on the German Autobahn. We also have two more colors for you today, by the way. The oxide gray. Is that also gray? I'm not sure, but it looks really interesting. And also the mineral white, that works very well also with contrasts, for example. Which color would you go for? I'm still looking forward to see one in Thomas Blue, of course, but I mean, these matte colors they offer here are also very striking. So which one is petrol, which one is EV? Can you tell? Let me tell you. Left side is the petrol one, right side the EV. You just see here the blue ring around the logo. And here with this vehicle we have a very dark, elegant blue vehicle color. That's cool. And this one, as you can obviously see, has the illuminated double kidney. And the option is called Iconic Glow. And you have this outline then there and also welcoming function when you approach the vehicle. And as another option, there are also this Swarovski crystals option. And this you can also see here at these headlamps. We also had at our other vehicle. This is the thing where you always see these special details, you know, how they are worked out, this top part of the daytime running light. Let's take a look at the turning indicators or hazard lights here, in this case on both sides. That looks also pretty special here in the front, right? But also at the rear and also in the interior. Let's take a look. The US spec version has the red turning indicators. Of course, then, for example, European spec one, where you have the yellow turning indicators, would look a little bit more distinctive. Here, look at that, the ambient lighting. Woo, hazard light, ambient lighting. Haven't seen that? What a great idea, right? It's, you know, it's just initially and then it turns off, but yeah, but probably when you are somewhere having it on for a longer time that you don't get annoyed by it, but that's pretty special, isn't it?
And also when you approach the vehicle from the rear, it's some kind of welcoming signature. That's really impressive. And look at that interior light at night, even more impressive than this case. And when you open the vehicle, you also get some kind of welcoming display. And then also the ambient lighting becomes more obvious. But even when you close the vehicle again, even from the outside, when the doors are closed, it looks really amazing. And when you get away from the vehicle again, at some point, closes off, and then also says goodbye with this signature. The smartphone app offers some cool features. For example, if you have the automatic doors, then you can also open the doors via the smartphone. And that looks very impressive, especially when you open them all four at once. And what you can also do is use the remote parking function. So we know it maybe from Hyundai, Kia and Genesis that they do it with the key fob here, also with BMW with the smartphone app. And then you can also ease your car out of parking lots or put them in when they're very narrow.
Before we get to the interior, let's quickly take a look at the powertrains. This one here, the pure petrol version, this is the 4.4 liter V8 with 540 horsepower in the 760i. So the strongest petrol engine, 4.2 seconds is the acceleration figure. And then there will also be the 3 liter inline 6-cylinder pure petrol engine. This one will also be totally sufficient, 5.4 seconds is the acceleration figure there. However, the pure petrol engines are for the US market and some other countries. North America in general is the main market for that one. In Europe, we don't get the pure petrol engine, but we get the diesel. What is it? It's kind of a trade-off, BMW, huh? Well, but for all markets, you get the plug-in hybrid based on the 3 liter inline 6-cylinder petrol engine and the i7, the pure electric version. If you need some extra footroom, this is the version to go for. I'm just kidding. This is the cutaway model here, where we can see more of that battery. This is the i7 cutaway, and these cells here combined make a total capacity of 102 kilowatt hours net. Recharging will be 10 to 80% state of charge with DC charging in 34 minutes. It's the optimum at the 195 kilowatt peak. And here at the closed side, you can also see the two-tone paint. When you have the top part here in the gray or silver styling, then it has even more contrast, and you can see this separate fine line even better. And once again, no transition here, or you can feel no transition with your finger. It's really very, very well made. Well, will it worth be $12,000 or euros to you? So you rather press here in this upper corner and then you move a little bit more backwards that you do not block the sensor. So when I press it here, the door does open automatically like this. And the question is, what about, you know, like the safety thing? So when I close it here from the inside again, and I'll be, well, it still applies pressure. Oh, a little bit, yeah. So it stops, yes. But actually, it's not too pleasant, I have to say. Let me stand up and then see again. Oh, yeah, so you could knock away children with that. It won't hurt so much and there won't be like a major accident. Yeah, but you just have to be aware of that, definitely. And the thing is also, what about from the outside? Pressing it here and then, you can see, there it stops. So this is then better with the sensor. So there it stops before it does hit everything. So yeah, that's the safety thing on the outside. Well, when you're on the inside, you just have to learn to control the doors a little bit better. Inside of the doors, a lot of different materials are being used, really screaming out. Bowers & Wilkins sound system here behind that. Seat control in this crystalline look, but you can still move that thing. You get a haptic feedback, unlike with the Mercedes at the moment, with the new models. Then here, fabric with wool share. This is this kind of interior, but you would also get a new so-called Veganza sensor tech. It's like a more evolved sensor tech style if you get that interior. And here, high gloss black piano lacquer. That is, I think, the least favorable material we see here at the inside of the doors. Steering wheel in a new design. This is here the M Sport steering wheel. As for the seats, this one here, the fabric wool share mix. So this is like this, more fabric approach to it. Why not in the luxury segment? Reducing animal skin leather already a little bit. The top part is animal origin, however. And then there's a full animal skin wrap still. And new, however, here with the new 7 Series is the so-called Veganza material. It is basically the same appearance like the new Sensación in the BMW X7 facelift, only that they use different suppliers. But they're both then kind of an elaborated Sensatec material, animal-free, less resource use, less energy used, better to animals, better to the workers and so on. So this is where it is heading to, definitely. Some limitations for the Veganza material as for the market choice. In Germany, we can basically get it for all the versions. In UK, you can get it for the i7, for the all-electric version. And in the US, they make it the other way around. They don't offer the i7 with the Veganza material, and also not here the 8-cylinder. There you have to go for the 6-cylinder. I think not a good strategy to limit this offer there, because the material is superb. It has also the very same durability, but way less impact on everything around us. So we've seen it in the X7, it is perfect, and also way to go than here when speccing this vehicle. As for the comfort here when seating, for the seat ergonomics, yeah, it's really very comfortable, very luxurious. And that's also the first thing when you take a look at the competitors. The new ET7 recently, I think, had also good comfort in seating. Tesla Model S and Mercedes EQS, this one here has definitely way more comfort already when sitting in the front here. So for the seat ergonomics here and how you feel, this is one of the most luxurious sedans, definitely. And yeah, I mean, from the comfort in the front, they can easily, I think, even be better than Bentley or Rolls-Royce. So you feel with everything they do here, they are pushing towards the segment. However, user interface, you've already seen, they're getting more and more digital. Is that the right thing to do? We'll also tell you more about that. Interior overview, well, very clean first impression. And told you, Mercedes EQS is all about ambient lighting. BMW says, hold my beer, we can also do ambient lighting. And that's where we ended up with. So here, this looks really amazing. So this like crystalline structure on the top. It's not glass though, because that would have been, not really crash safe. And here you can then switch through the different colors. And I mean, it's really bright. It's 12 o'clock noon at the moment here, and you can still very well see that. So that's actually a pretty cool idea to bring more spice to the interior. However, as for the vents control, if we take a closer look right here, this is also digitalized. And do you see here this, this green dot jumping? This looks a little bit more like Space Invaders or so, isn't it? Here on the driver and the co-driver side, by the way, it's the same. You can see the transition here between the door inside panel and this cockpit panel, how the ambient lighting is changing. So yeah, once again, especially at night, that's a very impressive feature. You still have buttons you can really press here, for example, for the cruise control. This is like one button, but then the central one is separated. Digital instruments, left side speed, right side here the RPM, brum brum. And then you can also change what you want to see in the middle. You can have here the music view from the CarPlay. You can have the GPS, car internal GPS, but it's also possible to show Apple Maps here or Google Maps with Android Auto. And there we go. This is the front view camera. It's also a nice integration. Then you can also change the whole layout if you rather prefer, for example, this or this. Or maybe this. Yeah, and you can also have just a central speed in the middle if you want it rather reduced. Head-up display also with more elaborated view. It is always more crisp in real life than it is on camera. I'll also see more about it when we drive the vehicle. Now the infotainment system, here the temperature always stays in the lower part. I do prefer manual climate knobs, you know that, but this one, at least it stays here. But not a real progress, I would think. Climate menu, you can also now turn on and off the AC function. They upgraded that, and here, for example, is the seat cooling and the seat heating and steering wheel heating, very important for wintertime. This is my favorite wintertime car function, actually. Then here, there's also a main menu available like this, but I think OS 8 is overkill. I did prefer OS 7. This one, of course, has just so many more functions overall. And yeah, I told you about the interior ambient lighting function, for example, that can be activated right here. And the My Mode selection is also interesting. So here you pick the different driving modes, and then also the ambient lighting changes accordingly, and also some parameters for driving. Here in Sport Mode, for example, the bolsters of the seat go a little bit more inward, for example. You can still control everything from down below, so you don't have to use the touchscreen. So you can also control the CarPlay like this. And with Auto also available, both wireless, and the integration is really cool here, definitely. And this Bowers & Wilkins sound system, I can tell you, it is just pleasure to listen to that one. Great song, by the way. Wow, such a great sound quality, amazing, wow. Lower middle console, this inductive charging pad here, and hard to pick it up on camera, but this is here a small slot, and it is sucking away, yeah, I did say that, sucking away the air from the smartphone, though it doesn't overheat while inductive charging. So, and then here you have the cup holders. You can open them, slide like this, and they are also adaptive and hold bottles tight. Did I just say, like in 1 or 2 sentences now, slot, sucking and tight? Here again, more high gloss black piano lacquer, don't like it. The crystalline knob here is quite cool here, and then you can still have this, oh, sound. Yeah, that's always cool. Here the GPS hotkey, for example, a home hotkey, so you still have some things to control that you're used to. This here is the shifting lever, and this is basically the only thing you can differentiate if you're driving a petrol engine or the electric version. Here D and S, and whereas in the i7, the electric one, you have D and B for the recuperation mode, actually. We have my favorite split opening like this for the middle console. Not too much space here, 2 USB-C chargers. And, well, BMW did not hand me over a key, but rather just a smartphone. And then you have this app here, and you can lock and unlock your vehicle. Oh, they also did this, original 2-tone paint design on there. I do prefer a normal knob. And we are also charging our camera accuracy here, camera batteries. Meanwhile, so yeah, it is usable, but not too much space. What about you? Would you go for the smartphone only solution? We know that Tesla customers also use that together with this key card. Or do you want to hold a real key fob in your hand? Why did Michelle's door close? So Michelle just got a hit in the he just got hit in the back by the door. Ah, but you did hit the automatic door button like this one here, right? Yeah, you did hit this one with your arm or something. So you basically, Michelle, stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Yeah, funny things like these can happen with this new digitalized interface in the vehicle. And this is always the question, like with the key fob. I do prefer a real key fob, Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to BMW and do a Karen, like, I want to talk to the manager. I want the real key fob. I paid for this. Yeah, you still get the normal key fob. Yes, that's a good thing, and you can use it. But on these, test drives, they also encourage you to use all the digital functions of the vehicle. And yeah, I sometimes try to keep it a little bit more, down to earth as for the vehicles. So you can still use some buttons here, but I'm not sure, like also with the automatic door opening and closing and so on. Rear area, before we get to the executive driving, being chauffeured position, what about when I'm sitting behind the tall driver? Yes, that's me. Here the legroom is still sufficient. They are not making good use of the space, but there will always be enough space available. And also as for the headroom, and here's the thing, that they did a compromise with aerodynamics, so they could still offer a lot of headroom even with 1.89 or 6'2". And the comfort here, if you compare it to the EQS, is so much better indeed. So BMW clearly wins it here. And I have to say, would I need a Bentley or Rolls-Royce for that and pay even more? I think really not. It is super luxurious in here indeed. And the thing is, when you have the Mercedes comparison, you have to compare this one both to the S-Class and to the EQS. And the difference in rear comfort is so huge to the EQS. S-Class also offers decent rear comfort, yes, of course. But here, of course, BMW decided to have one vehicle for the both electric and the petrol version, and nothing will be different here in the interior, really. That's a very crucial point. The one thing I do criticize with this vehicle is, but that's not only about BMW, it's about all the brands, using this vehicle has become more complicated. So I put up the shade here. So when I want to open the window, here I can also lower the shade manually. But then when I want to put up again, it's not working here. It would be like a logic solution. I just pull this lever and then the shade comes. You know, first the window and then the shade. That would make sense. It's not possible. When lowering it, it goes down, but I can't put it up again that way. Then I have to go here deep in the menu. Yes, I'm continuing with that today, deep in the menu. So, and then I have to switch it here on the screen that this shade comes up. And I wonder, I mean, if you're driving 10 hours all day, and maybe this is kind of like a hobby, it takes more time to use car functions. And I'm keeping myself busy while being chauffeured. That's maybe a thing, but I tend to say I want to have things straightforward and just technology improvement when it makes my life easier and not more complicated. Also, where are the seat controls here that I can like put the seat forward or backward again, just like in 1 second? It's not there. It's again in the screen that they don't need so many buttons. So, and then I have to go to the home menu again, switch to seats, and then control the driving position here, what I want to have. It works, yes, and they've done a great job and everything looks great and so on, but it just takes more time. You will get faster over time, but when we directly compare the old school solution and the new school solution, the user interface is just taking more time now. And this is the thing I meant. So, I mean, considering it is an early, there we go. It's an early production model, so things will still improve, also software-wise, definitely. But I just had a screen crash now. I had to wait until the screen reloads itself. So, but when I would have separate seat control here, I could still do that and don't care about the crashing screen. But here, then you have to wait for the screen to restart, and it took like 2 minutes now or something. And by the way, at least what is redundant is the door control. You have three-way. Yes, three-way. I got it. I got that. Thank you. And then you have 3 ways to adjust to open the door here. When you press this button, it just opens slightly, and then you can press it further. Second way is this button up here. This is then the automatic door opener, and it really opens all the way. Oh, sorry, that gets really bright now, and there we can close it all again. And then the manual way, because this is of course, important emergency fail-safe. This is the manual door opener. When all electronics fail, that you can still manually open that door. Oh my God, this is not spacious enough. Yeah, of course. Now we can use the executive being chauffeured position, and I activate it here on the screen. Set lounge position, it is called. There we can see magic. The front seat is moving forward. Let's see. Of course, it takes a while. While that is going forward, I can also show you this one here, the armrest. Again, inductive charging pad. Air is being sucked away. And then here is some more storage with 2 more USB-C chargers. And the quality of the materials, how everything is processed in the interior, is really outstanding. And now, there we go. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take my shoes off now. And because you can see here the seat, it's going up. Oh, this is awesome, right? This is awesome. Look at that. Wow. This is really amazing, super comfortable. And then you can also rest your feet here on this, special footrest that is going up. This is really amazing. Now the seat is going a little bit more backward. And once again, me with 189 and 6'2", this is sufficient for my size. Actually, it's still going. Now position is reached. Oh, Maybe I should switch and start traveling just here in this position and get a driver. You want to be my driver? Applications in the comments. That would be awesome, right? And we also can get to know each other, right? So yeah, wow, this is extremely comfortable. It works size-wise. What a great idea here. So this is really some amazing equipment here. And also the head restraint is super comfortable. So is it king of luxury now? From what we've seen here so far, maybe not king of user interface, but which car is that nowadays? But from the comfort perspective, wow, this is outstanding indeed. And I really don't need a Rolls or Bentley now indeed. And now it's time for the theater mode. Let's try it with the voice input. Hey BMW, activate theater mode.
I will activate the theater mode.
Ta-da! Woo. Yeah, that's a cool effect with the sound and so on, right? So it goes down like this. You always have to ensure that the front seats are also, far away down. Yes, keep using. And then this is here with Amazon Fire TV. And you can have, for example, Prime Video, but you can also watch YouTube. So that would be possible, depending, of course, on the online connection. So here, for example, you can watch pre-downloaded content then, if you have done it before and don't have a Wi-Fi connection. That is one possibility.
Thomas,
Hey,
what are you doing there?
I'm only taking a look at our footage because that's the thing what you can also do here. So we connected now this MacBook here with an HDMI cable to the screen, and then we can take a look at our footage here, which we have just been shooting. Yeah, I mean, it's very crisp, this image quality, really cool, of course, here in full 4K now here in Autogefühl for you. Well, to work really with it, that is creating too much delay. That doesn't really make sense. But for example, if you have something, like movies maybe on your laptop and want to have the HDMI connection, that would be possible. You can then select the source, either the Fire TV or then here the HDMI. It is also USB-C connection on the back part, but that is not for using as input. That would have been cool as well, maybe like with a USB-C stick or something, but that's not possible. But yeah, it does deliver you some possibilities. And the, let's say, more straightforward use would be, I mean, here at the back of the seats, there's USB-C charging, also some mounts for iPad holders. So yeah, at the end of the day, is it really useful, this theater screen? It's great for the show effect. But will people rather use their own devices and watch the thing on their smartphone or on the tablet? Probably yes. Or what's your take on that? And the shade of the panoramic roof, by the way, is going forward. So it starts at the rear here and then is being rolled in the front. And the reason for that is by that they can also ensure more rear headroom because they are storing it here in the front. That's a very clever idea indeed. You cannot open the sunroof, it's just that blind you can close or open. And the secondary interior here with bright styling. The same style, same color you can also get with the leatherette Veganza material, so that would look and feel the same. And this one here is also an i7, but that's once again from the interior. How can I see that? It's actually just the one thing that is here, the B and the D. So we have the full recuperation mode we can pick here instead of the S mode for the combustion engines, but that's basically about it. Everything else is the same. There's also no compromise as for headroom or something. So it is really, they went for, hey, we built one vehicle and then you pick the different powertrains. But in driving, they will differ. Oh, will they? Well, we're going to find out. Oh, and the blue ring around the steering wheel. That's, of course, the other thing. You can see that it's an electric vehicle here, or the EV version on the interior. And now to the trunk. Let's take a look. 540 liters here for the petrol version. We'll soon also compare the EV. You can see here the cabin trolley also easily fits in a vertical way. So good measurement, of course. Then here I installed a light right there that you can also see the back of the vehicle. And this is the length of, let's say, like 115 in meters or 45 inches. And the crucial width here on the inside is a little bit less than 80 centimeters or 31 inches. It's just way wider here on the very front part. Interesting also the height, of course, and this is at 57 centimeters or 22 inches. And this is the trunk of the EV of the i7. You see here in the petrol version, like this step was a little bit lower. So this whole floor is a little higher. However, in the front, you still have space for the charging cable. It's just that this then here is covered. And the height difference then is that here we are at 50 centimeters or 20 inches, whereas we were at 22 inches or 57 centimeters with the petrol version. So this is the gap then you lose in height with the EV version. I think you can live with that. Welcome to Thomas's luxury driving lounge, and I really wanted to start with dynamic driving. It's soon to come, but then I was driving straight and I thought, like, I have to begin with driving straight, because this vehicle here, the all-new BMW 7 Series, is already a star when just driving straight. I mean, I'm just driving pure straight road and think like, I'm flying, you know? You can also have the assistance systems here. They're keeping you in the lane, active lane keeping assist, very smooth as for the transitions and so on. And you hear almost nothing from the outside. You are totally decoupled from everything. So the stress level is immediately lower. It's great comfort in the seats and so on. Wow, just wow. The luxury comfort we have here is outstanding. And yeah, once again, I have to say to one of the first questions, are they closing the gap here to Bentley and Rolls-Royce? Definitely. I mean, they're almost making Rolls-Royce obsolete. It's about more like the individual choices, of course. That's the thing then, you know. But it's really more about you pay more because you want to pay more, but you don't have to. Although this is not cheap at all, you know. But yeah, this is easily driving-wise also king of luxury. Wow. But then it's still a BMW. That's why I initially also wanted to begin with that. What's to come here? You could maybe also already see it right here. Winding corners here outside of Palm Springs, California. Really testing the vehicle. How agile is it? Although it is that large, it has that long wheelbase. Short remark to the fuel economy here of the 8-cylinder, 4.4 liter 8-cylinder. You can, in a calm driving, you know, motorway, 100 kilometers, 60 miles an hour, cruise control, do some 9 to 10 liters on 1 kilometers and some 25 mpg US or even in the 30s of the mpg UK. That is possible. If you use that power a little bit, it can also easily jump up to about 13 liters on 1 kilometers and then go down below 20 mpg both US and UK. So that's like the spectrum. And we will test first here the petrol engine, the V8, and then we will get to the i7, to the all-electric version, and compare also what is actually better, petrol or electric. I know this area here a little bit. That's why I know we can, you know, just hold here on the right side and then do an acceleration onto the road again without, you know, having any kind of risk or something. So here we go. And I'll put it to my modes. It's a little bit tough to select that here, and then I put the sports mode, and there's one car coming, and then we can hit the accelerator pedal, and let's see, it's slightly uphill. Let's see, let's go. Blop, that's 55 miles an hour. Wow. So that was almost 0 to 60 miles an hour. Woo! Wow. So that was something. You good, Michelle? He's like, I mean, it did like the super quick acceleration, that V8 sound hammered in, and he's like, oh, I'm flying still. This is so relaxing. So yeah, let's see if I can get him out of his relaxing mode here, Michelle. So we're hunting up these corners and see how agile is it. This vehicle has everything in it. Adaptive air suspension goes a little bit stiffer than here in these corners, and also the integral active steering, so that's the rear axle steering, and together also with the anti-roll stabilization. And this car is not leaning into the corners at all. Wow. The weight distribution here is a little bit worse with the petrol engine than with the EV. So the goal is always 50-50 at BMW, and the EV has perfect 50-50. This one here, the petrol, has like just slight percentage more to the front axle because of the petrol engine, but it's just a little difference. So this was, I talked to the chief engineer, and he said actually one of his biggest tasks with this one platform solution was to exactly achieve that both drive quite equal. Is that true? We'll find out very soon. I can already tell you here so far with the petrol engine, it drives phenomenal. And you know, I'm testing a lot of different vehicles, and in the last 10 years I've been driving, I don't know, 1,500 different cars. This one is no doubt one of the most exceptional ones. Rarely do we find that a vehicle, especially of that size, has this kind of agile driving feeling. I mean, and it's really super unique. On the one hand, it feels extremely smooth and comfortable. On the other hand, you feel like, wow, I mean, this is actually quite light and very sporty indeed. So we can also do that with it, like what the truck does. Is it local? Yeah, just always try to obey the speed limit. I still need my driver's license. Wow, and then, I mean, this V8 has a nice sound. It gets you a little bit more emotions. Let's see if that EV later on can keep up to that. But it's also buttery smooth when you hit the accelerator pedal. There's no delay whatsoever from that V8. And this slightly growling sound, not exaggerated at all. Steering gives me a very good feeling. Wow, what a view down to Palm Springs. So steering gives me a great possibility to control the vehicle. And I can't believe I'm driving such a huge and long vehicle. It doesn't feel like that at all. Michel? He's flabbergasted.
Super relaxing, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really not driving slowly here, you know. So, and they're like, also like the G-force that are applied on the body. Sometimes when you hitting these serpentine roads, especially like the co-driver say like, no, but he's like, I'm really driving quite quickly here. Yeah, this truck driver here in front of me, that he is really onto this now here too. He must be feeling way different than we in this 7 Series here. But wow, driving dynamics wise, this is on another level, and not only in comparison to the predecessor, which was already good, definitely, but yeah, I mean, also the competition. They are building very, very nice cars as well, no doubt about that. But this is also driving wise, both in the comfort and in the agility direction. Really, this owns the competition, and I rarely say that, you know. So, and you know, when you're a long-term subscriber here, that you know that I'm for Germany doesn't have anything to do in how I rate cars from which countries, and most cars are international built anyway. BMW also builds a lot of their cars in the US primarily, especially the SUVs. So, and I'm also not brand focused or something. So they say, oh, like this is my favorite brand, therefore I rate it in a better way or something like that. A lot of you guys already know that I used to own a lot of Jaguars and so on. Huge fan of all the British vehicles and so on. So I can really just say that without any bias, this is one of the most superb cars in the driving, definitely, like ever. Wow, I'm really just literally blown away how good that is. So yeah, and I mean, when I just think about, hey, picking in a nice color, getting the new Veganza evolved center tech seats here for animal-free seating, maybe in a bright color or something, that would have been a kick-ass combination, right? So yeah, just have to recheck then again if I can really afford that. So yeah, that's of course always something else with the BMW 7 Series. You could also wait 10 years and then buy a used one. So yeah, I mean, usually after 3 years they lose half of the price, these very expensive vehicles, so you might wait in at least 3 years or something. Wow, this is, I mean, it's strange. I mean, quite often you have cars that are really comfortable and relaxing, and you have cars that are really sporty, and then the variables change a little bit. And rarely have I had an experience where I have so much sporty driving fun, but so much relaxed comfort at the same time. It seems like a complete contradiction, you know. So it seems like a goal conflict, but it's actually true. Wow, that is really cool. Driving modes. It was a sport mode here, and we can also go to the say like the relax mode. In the relax mode, that was a nice test as well. So the sunshade goes closed in the relax mode. We have our camera mounted up there. And that was, thank you, good boy. So that was well done by the sunshade. It did hit the camera mount, but it did them immediately stop and not destroy it. And believe me, we had other sunshades there before. So, well done sunshade. That's live here on Autogefühl, the most authentic experience in reviewing you can get. And here we go. This is the i7, the all-electric version of the all-new BMW 7 Series. And, well, the first surprising thing is you hardly feel a difference, at least when driving straight here now. You have this great floating ride from the air suspension, and since you feel the shifting, of course, in the combustion engine, but since it's done in a very smooth way, it's not a huge difference. So from the get-go here, there has hardly ever been a vehicle where there are different powertrain versions of it, where the difference between the EV and the non-EV version is so little in the first feeling. So that's really, really interesting. Of course, you have the throttle input is like a little bit more directly, but they also both tuned these vehicles in a way that there also is not the biggest difference between that. So, wow, super interesting. And when there would be like the V8 sound, it would be almost the same. There is also the sound here, these iconic sounds as I call it. We will soon hop to the sports mode, do the same acceleration as we did yesterday. This one here on paper, a little bit less quick in this version. Later, as I said, there will be electric version, all-electric version, which will be even quicker than everyone. And in the sport mode, the sound will be even more enhanced. So we will experience that. But when you're driving straight here now, you basically get almost the same experience, both with the petrol and the EV. This sonorous, low-frequency growling from a 6 or 8 cylinder is, of course, always something that just, you know, appears to your body somehow. You know, that's not necessarily a thing like, oh, we're petrol heads or something. It's for real. You know, also with vibrations and something. So that is kind of cool. You don't feel it here, but since this vehicle has such a great insulation, the difference again is not that large. So now sports mode, and we'll hear more of these iconic sounds. Let's accelerate it out. Let's go. Launch control. Plop, that's 55 miles an hour. Wow. Whew. And you also heard that sound building up. That was pretty amazing. You liked it, Michelle? He's a fan of iconic sound stuff. You know, you can always deactivate it. So everything you hear now from this, you can completely deactivate it. It's just a thing like if you want that. It is not very extreme. So there are electric vehicles where you have more sound feedback. So here they thought with a 7 Series, we don't exaggerate it. You know, in the sports mode here, you hear, of course, more of that. I think it's still subtle enough. Here now in these corners, once again, they feel pretty similar. So the EV has a little bit better weight distribution, and also the center of gravity is lower because the batteries are put in the floor. We've seen the cutaway model. Then again, the overall weight, of course, the battery is quite heavy. So, yeah, but you know, the question is really, what's the result then for the customer? And I have to say, once again, it feels pretty similar. So I can just stress how it was with the slower driving. Also here, it is actually less than expected. There is also this instant acceleration. It's so super smooth. The feeling from the throttle pedal is a little bit more linear and artificial, of course. With ICE, internal combustion engine, you always have some kind of power curve, which somehow feels more natural because it's not that digital, it's not that linear. And to me, this is something, let's say, a little bit more human, you know what I mean? Again, the difference is not that large, and here, wow, it's so well put on the road, doesn't shake up at all. It's a lot of fun, and at the same time, it's super comfortable once again. Yeah, I'm really once again impressed by the driving behavior here. And we don't have it here that we would feel, oh, like because of the weight of the batteries, we are getting pushed out of the corners or something. The big question is indeed, is any of these vehicles here, or any of these versions, you have to say, more fun? And it's a tough question. You know, sometimes I'm absolutely certain when I have these ratings or these verdicts, and I'm, you know, like, okay, this is more fun or this is more fun. But here, it's both a lot of fun, definitely. Maybe I would say that when you have the combustion engine, it feels a little bit more natural because of that power curve. So it's, to me, it is not that perfect. Like, you know, this digitalized linear power curve of the EV. And because it is less perfect, it feels to me more natural and maybe a little bit more likable. So when I'm just base it on the pure feeling thing, maybe, yeah, I would say the combustion engine is still a little bit more pleasing. I don't need the V8 for that. I would just be fine with the 6-cylinder. I think the BMW 6-cylinder is the best engine pick in the whole lineup across all the models. The inline 6 petrol from BMW is the best engine you can pick there. But that's, you know, on the pure fun side, and also with minor difference. Here the crucial thing is really charging infrastructure. So if you're willing to go EV yet and you have the charging infrastructure, you can as well go for the i7, no problem. If you're driving every day, long mileage, and have no good charging possibility, then of course it's still one of the combustion engines. Welcome to a spectacular panoramic view here in Norway. Thomas with Autogefühl and the Audi A8 facelift. Let's take a look at all the changes. Really impressive to have the car right here, and let's take a look at that massive front grille that has been updated. This is now the base A8, so to speak, and you have this L form, these fins in the front grille. Overall, they want to have the car standing more upright, more present, but not that sporty. Actually, they said, yeah, maybe it was a little bit too sporty. What's your take on that? And here you can also see that the lamps, they now have the daytime running light in the top part here, and they also have this new cut in. However, if you want it sportier looking again, you can also go for the S-Line. This one then has a different front grille, has a more wider stance, also a black frame around, and you can top it up even with some black Audi rings and black mirror caps if you go for this dark package. Here, what we have here, however, is rather the more elegant design that again stresses the upright side of the vehicle, also with new accentuations right here. The headlamp technology, by the way, it starts with LED as base, then optional matrix LED. In some markets like Germany, it's already standard with the matrix LED, and then optional the matrix LED with a digital matrix function. There are some micro mirrors, and then you also can have projections on the road, like light field on the motorway that signals your line. But it doesn't have to do anything with the high beam range or something. And we also have a nighttime driving part in our review here today.
And we also take this one here to the spectacular Atlantic Ocean Road. And no, I never wanted to be a weather reporter. And yes, James Bond was also recently here.
And the lighting features are really super spectacular. That's why I took some night shots for you. For example, with the turning indicators, both in the front and in the rear. And also a very interesting welcoming or goodbye light show. You get that one with the matrix LED special form then. And even more so if you have projections then when opening or closing the vehicle, depending on if it's a wall or maybe it's on the ground. And you can even pick different schemes for that. One of my favorite features are these small Audi rings in here, and even more so better visible at night, that they're really also illuminated. The A8 features a standard air suspension, also some special features. For example, like this, you see that the car is pumped up. They can easier have an access into it without crouching down. Yeah, it's a comfort function. And when I close the door, you can see that the car automatically raises down again. That the car raises down again. Let's see. There we go. You can see, slowly. Here we go. Then that takes some time, but when I open the door again, that goes quite quickly. See here, really spectacular indeed. Quite cool feature, isn't it? This is, by the way, also used in case of a crash, in case of a side impact. Then the car is also detecting the oncoming crash and is going up to protect inside, you know, that you face a harder area of the chassis. And yeah, the question is, what about, you know, the one that is crashing into you? Not so sure if it's so good for that one. The color here for today, by the way, is called Manhattan Gray, and it's a very elegant metallic color. We also have in that S-Line vehicle the Daytona Gray Matte. Even more spectacular, of course, because of that matte effect. This matte Daytona Gray is also a completely new color for the vehicle. Here we have 20-inch wheels today, overall 18 to maximum of 21-inch wheels for summer tires. We have winter tires here today, that's why 20-inch is the maximum. And next to the base air suspension, you can also opt for this predictive air suspension that is then foreseeing what's coming on the road, lifting the car up 5 centimeters or 2 inches in front of a speed bump. And then basically the speed bump is being sucked in by the suspension. The car stays upright, you stay upright, just the suspension moves underneath you. Really cool effect. In the rear, you also can get a rear axle steering. That would be standard for the S8. That means that the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction than the front wheels, faking a shorter wheelbase, so to speak. And talking about wheelbase, this is the A8L. Worldwide the most sold model. So yeah, you know, more than 3/4 of all A8 are sold with long wheelbase. That means 5 meters 30 or 209 inches. The short wheelbase version, which is the bestseller in Germany, for example, is then a little bit shorter. It's really, you know, this area that you have a little bit more legroom in the rear. But in the US, for example, in Canada, also in China, just the long wheelbase versions are being sold. Ooh, in the rear we have new OLEDs, organic LED. No, they're not alive, but well, are they alive? A little bit, right? Here, so you see this proximity sensor. So when I go away and then I approach again, or maybe if I would be a vehicle like this, you see here how the middle part is filled out. And this kind of starts this communication, the car with the outside world. You know, on the long run, this will be a thing in the automotive industry, that via lighting and so on, cars communicate with each other or maybe communicate with pedestrians and so on. Very interesting feature indeed. And also this, you know, this signature here on the inside, depending on which driving mode you are in, it also switches. For example, in the dynamic mode, it looks different. And the organic LED are indeed also standard, so you do not need the matrix LED to have that one. Really interesting. And once again, in the dark, it looks even cooler, also with the turning indicators, for example. And also, once again, when you have that light show, even more impressive when it's really, really dark. but very cool. Here in the rear, A8L, and then this the 60 TFSI. This naming is always a little bit complicated. Soon talking more about the engines. And the quattro all-wheel drive means it's still here the real one, the permanent all-wheel drive, 40/60 base setup, so you always have a rear wheel bias. In the lower part, gladly, the Autogefühl fake exhaust police has no job here today, no alert, because this is a nice graphic here. It looks once again a little bit different in that S-line vehicle we have for you today, but no fake exhaust. The real exhausts are on the on the lower part of the vehicle, but this way, why not? What do you think about the redesign here of the A8? Tell me in the comments. And now let's move on to the engines. As for engines, today we have the 4-liter V8. And when you drive it in a very economic way, you can score some 10 liters or 100 kilometers, 23 mpg US, 28 mpg UK. This one here with 460 horsepower and around 4.5 seconds in the acceleration figure. In the S8, this same engine is then spec'd with 571 horsepower and 3.8 seconds in the acceleration. Other than that, the worldwide most important engine is the 3-liter V6 turbo petrol engine. And then there's also a 3-liter TDI, which is more, prominent in Europe and especially in Germany. Of course, it is changing bit by bit because the plug-in hybrid version of the 3-liter V6 petrol engine is gaining more importance. This is the car key, still the classic version, but I really like it. And then when I open the door, you see it has this function again with raising it up. I showed you earlier. Ooh, it's a pretty cool feature, right? And then you have two different door closing things I need to show you. First of all, what about door closing sound? Really solid, awesome. But in that way here, when you have that option, of course you would use the soft close mechanism. So like this, and then very gently. Magic. One more time, a little bit closer maybe here. It's both for the rear and the front doors. Here, look at that. There we go. And then the interior itself, you can see here, nice Alcantara inserts. They are also new. And then you have here a matte wood insert. I would definitely pick this one here. Feels really nicely and looks also very warm and cozy. For small bottles, there's some space here in the inside of the doors. And then that steering wheel here with these gaps right there, and they explicitly sticked here with the turning wheels on the steering wheel, also for the volume. They watched Autogefühl, read our comments, and they saw you do not like #capacitive BS. So no capacitive buttons here for that A8 facelift. They really intentionally stick with that, and I think that's a great decision. Then the digital instruments, Audi Virtual Cockpit, here with the map mounted at the moment. Soon also more details to that. And then the seats, the different seats available. These are the most comfortable ones actually from the seat form. They are sportier ones which have also more bolstering at the side. And see also with some perforation. Sadly, animal skin only. They did not bring any animal skin alternative here in that facelift. That's really a let off. And BMW showed it with the 5 Series facelift, for example, that you can have a great high-grade leather red also for luxury class cars. And Audi is going in that direction. It's inevitable that they also skip the animal skin. That's basically decided in all the automotive industry. But here in this segment, they are actually late to the party indeed. However, the seat form is really comfortable, super relaxing. And here also a lot of headroom left with 1.86 m or 6'1". It's also very beautifully done here with the bright Alcantara ceiling. This brings so much coziness in the vehicle. And since it's a little bit dark today here, well, winter in Norway, that's how it is. You guys know it. All our friends from Scandinavia. Here also with a nice headliner ambient lighting. Really love that. Of course, I've set it to Thomas Blue. Different colors are available. When you look at the whole ambient lighting at night, it is even more impressive. That's why I always try to bring as many night shots as possible, when we have the chance to do that. You can also get the sportier steering wheel here, by the way, in the S-Line, then with some perforations at the side. And also in the S-Line here with carbon fiber inserts, also available. These are the sportier seats as stamping and also with some more side bolstering shoulder area and also at the side. Interior overview, beautiful clean lines, more Bauhaus style, German style, here with this, matte aluminum style. A lot of black panel lacquer, that's not so much to my liking actually. Interesting that these two screens, 10.1 and 8.6 inch, they play together somewhat. For example, when you are in the GPS mode and then you have the GPS search, then you have the keypad here in the lower area, the keyboard. And when you're in the normal home menu, then there's a temperature control either here with sliding or then with pressing. And for a touchscreen temperature solution, it's the best one that is available. I still prefer manual knobs. For example, for the volume knob, it's still manual, or for the passenger. But for this, this solution, it's fairly easy how you can also control the bend strength, for example. And when you, by the way, use a two-zone AC and it's changed here, you have this, secret finger gesture like this. Seen that here? So this is a different temperature, and then I kind of like swipe it in like this, and then the temperature is synced again on the other side. Then automatic shifting like this, easy solution. Here the adaptive cup holders, good quality, extreme great build quality everywhere you can see. This is then here, for the armrest. You can also put it, up like this, or if you want to have it fixed, then you have to hit this, this button on the back side, and then you can slide it up like this. Then it's high and it's also fixed, and then you can also open it. And then there's inductive charging pad, but you have to put it like here, and also the cable connection 2 times USB-C now. And indeed, these are my favorite virtual instruments, because you can change the view to a more classic one, have the map a little bit bigger like this, and you can also change the middle content. Sadly, it's not yet possible to have the CarPlay map or something in the middle part there. And this is also the night view. I'll also show you more of that in our nighttime driving part. And the head-up display is really clear to read, always a great option, also with some GPS directions. Then here in the infotainment system, this is really interesting. You have the drive select. There, for example, you can see that also when you are in the dynamic mode, the air suspension lowers, and also at a certain speed it goes down, for example, and in the auto mode it really adjusts depending on the driving situation. The overview menu here is actually quite simple and easy. I really like this version of the infotainment system. And the GPS map here, you can also have the satellite view. You can also deactivate it if you think it's a better overview. Beautiful Norway here, close to the coastal line as well. Here, well, what is not coastal line in Norway? And then here, Apple CarPlay or Android Auto integration looks like this. And we also have the optional sound system in here. Bang & Olufsen, and it's really great sound here. Wow, great surround sound, and there are interesting settings here. Let's take a look at that. So when we go to settings and then sound, and here the B&O sound settings, and in this case I rather tend to lower the bass maybe a little bit, but here it's actually cool to put bass and subwoofer a little bit higher, because at the same time you can have the surround level to maximum and 3D sound to high. And then it's really like great surround sound all around, but it sounds less bass heavy then. So I found the best setting is really put 3D sound and surround level all the way up, and then also increase a little bit the bass in the subwoofer, and overall this is then really like club atmosphere. Welcome to this rear executive seating, really a cool position to have here. And since this is the A8L, or would be the standard one for our guys in the US and so on, you have more legroom in the rear, of course, tons of legroom. There are these nice footrests here. There you can just have a more relaxing position for your feet. They are indeed just, like loosely adjustable like this, but you can also just put them out, no problem. And here you also can have this function that you, press this button, but you have to press and hold it. And then you see here my seat goes a little bit forward, also more in the back with the backrest, and then the co-driver seat goes forward. These screens here, the cat caught a little bit of rain. These screens here are, by the way, also new, so new screens for the rear entertainment. And then you can see here, meanwhile, the seat is going all the way forward like this. Also the screen is adjusting then, that I have a proper angle. And then there is this calf rest. And recently I had an interesting comment. Someone saying like, "Oh, Thomas, I'm really happy that you take off your shoes before putting your feet on there, unlike some other car journalists who were raised by wild boars." Not saying who it was who was mentioned in the comment, but maybe you guys know who put that comment. Really interesting. So, that's really cool. And actually, you have a lot of space. And even here with 1m86 or 6'1", I can have a very relaxing position here. And last time, remember, I was in the S-Class, which on the one hand feels a little bit more comfortable from the seats themselves. But here, this lying position is, to me, even better in the A8 indeed. That's very interesting. And even more interesting is that this area where my feet are at the moment, it can be heated, and there's also a massage function for it. This is really interesting. You have this middle part here where you can then here adjust the back part of the seat, for example, or here slide it forward even more. And then when you go to seats here, sometimes it takes the time, then you can, whoa. Yeah, you always have to protect it against the fingerprints. You have here, for example, the seat heating. This is really cool. Here you can adjust the climate functions. And then back to seats here. Yes, please wait. Yeah, there we go. Seat adjustment, massage. Want to have massage. And then, for example, I love this wave massage because it really goes from the top part to the bottom and back again. You can have these different massage functions here, shoulder, activation, and so on. And now there's the trick. So if you're an A8 owner, I can explain to you how that works. Here, this is for your seat, or for my seat I'm sitting at the moment. And then you have to click basically on the passenger seat, because in the passenger seat, you have here also turned forward. There is, you can pick your shoe size. Yeah, of course, L, shoe size for me. And then you have this foot massage. It goes in wave or in circles, and you can start it. And it's really hard to pick it up on camera. But, this back part of the seat is now moving, and you can feel it that it's, going underneath the seat. So now I'm holding this microfiber towel in front of the seat, because that way you can better see how the back part of the seat is moving when you look at that brighter structure. So again, it's really hard to pick it up on camera, but maybe you can see that this microfiber towel is moving a little bit, because here that back part of the seat now, here at the moment it's coming more towards this upper area, and then it's moving, for example, back here in this lower area, and this is now wider a little bit, and then here you can see it goes inward again, and so on. It's a really cool feature indeed, very exclusive. Here the controls, seat heating, seat cooling also works simultaneously when you're, for example, wet in winter times and you get in the vehicle and want to be dried and warmed at the same time. And then here, this is then the heating for the foot area. So indeed, now what I have now is a combination of a foot massage and a heating indeed of this area there where I have my feet. So this is really amazing. So my feet are warm now and are being massaged. Here, by the way, some more space underneath. Inductive charging pad for your smartphone. 2 USB-C chargers now. And then we have, well, there's no champagne box here today. This would be just like reaching through the trunk. So there's like, this ski hatch basically. So then also with a nice wood cover right here. And you can also fold this whole thing up here. Then you have the cup holders here, and you have also, the real power socket. Don't do that at home, kids. I was, going a little bit too deep in there with my fingers. So, but this is also accessible when it's not folded up. The thing that is only accessible when this one here is folded up are the tables, and you can fold them out like this, and a little bit more towards me. And then you can also close this one again. And it also has this lip here, for example, for your laptop or something. You can also change it a little bit in the angle. So you can actually work it quite well. Put the laptop right here, had the foot heating and massage. That's a really nice workstation here, isn't it? I'm gonna think about this. And by the way, if you move that seat back here in that normal position, it just looks cool when things are moving inside the vehicle. And this actually quite quickly, comparing it to the S-Class, this one goes way faster, I have the impression. Here we go. Oh! Need to secure this one so the seat can move further. Yeah, there we go. Now we are back in that normal position. Well, about that trunk area, let's take a look. This is a channel where we also measure the trunk, and this is here 1 meter in width or 40 inches. And you can see also my luggage. Yeah, these are my 2 Corona stickers. These means like for yesterday and for today, Corona test negative, by the way. Yeah,
just some details here for that driving event. Yeah, this is my lunchbox. Yeah, and then the length is 1.20 meters or some, that's 1.20 meters or some 46 inches. And you can see here I also have this ski hatch here. And yeah, has anyone tested that actually? Not sure. Because here when I use the ski hatch and load things through, you can easily go, distance here 2 meters or 80 inches, the full stick, and you're not even through the front seat. So you can have some very long skiers, but nowadays most people use short skiers or like these Bigfoot skiers. So yeah, not really that necessary actually. So you can see very, very usable. And here the height, this is maybe also crucial, is about 50 centimeters or 20 inches.
Welcome to Thomas's luxury driving lounge, or in this case, A8L rally driving lounge, because we're here on this B road, a little bit of gravel road in Norway, and this is super spectacular because here the air suspension with all its comfort can play out its advantages, and this is a really uneven gravel road and it feels like nothing. It's super comfortable still, 20-inch wheels. And the cool thing about the A8 in general is it is a sporty vehicle. It is long, it is very luxurious, but it still feels sporty to drive. That's the cool thing about. And indeed, I prefer the A8 and the BMW 7 Series to drive myself over the Mercedes S-Class, because A8 and 7 Series are more fun to drive. The S-Class has this more like this ship-alike, very soft air suspension setup. And here I think they really have found a great compromise. It does deliver you a great comfort, but it does deliver you sporty driving fun at the same time. Again, if you more want this more heavy, soft feeling, then the S-Class is something more for you. And what about when I put it in dynamic mode? And you remember 4.5 seconds is the acceleration figure here for this 4-liter V8. And now I accelerate out of this corner at this wet ground. We have the all-wheel drive, rear-wheel bias, 40-60 fashion. What will the car do? Let's see. Wow. Holy mo... Wow. I mean, great power definitely. The thing is really, wow. I mean, you could really feel that super traction. I mean, it's very slippery here on this asphalt. But then with the all-wheel drive, 460 horsepower, so much power at the same time, no wheel span at all, and you could see the steering wheel was perfectly stable and it was really flooring it out. So this is really the thing about this classic all-wheel drive. It can bring the power to the ground so well. And of course, this then, you might not hammer the throttle all the way through when it's like snowy or icy or something. Just be gentle with the throttle, but it shows how well it also performs on slippery surfaces. So I always tend to, that's why I also drive really fast in our tests on the German Autobahn, for example, when we're allowed to, because these extreme tests, so to speak, they show then how the car performs at these extraordinary levels, so to speak. And in general, this feeling here is I can just stress, is one of the best cars to drive at all, from the driving feeling. So I also experienced that in the Audi A8. There we have a special German Autobahn driving part where I could also floor it out. It's a very impressive episode as well. You should tune into that at a later stage. There you can see more about the high-speed driving. It is such a flawless driving experience. So I think what the drive concerns, flawless is really the thing. We can go back to the auto mode, then we have even more comfort, and from the assistant systems there's a nice blind spot monitor integrated in the side mirror, adaptive cruise control, adapts the speed, and then also holds the car in a lane. Here at the moment it's a little bit tricky because it's not a motorway, and there's the car is a little bit irritated, like where are the side lines, so this is then not the ideal solution for that. But on the motorway the system is again working very, very well. On the motorway, that's also where it's reserved for. You also have these digital mirror functions where you have like a light carpet in front of you signaling like that's your lane.
But I think the usage of this system is somewhat limited, so you don't really need that option actually. And now we're driving one of the most scenic roads in the world, the Atlantis Vein, the Atlantic Ocean Road or Atlantic Highway, up here at the Norwegian Atlantic coast. And today is really harsh weather, a lot of wind, and even more spectacular. Yeah, oh, and thanks to my cameraman today, it's really tough when filming in this weather on the outside. Wow, and I mean, a lot of small bridges here. It's not too long, this road overall, but here when it's so harsh and windy on the outside and the salt water is going all over the road in some places, this can really happen here. And you here in this warm and cozy cabin, everything is soft and relaxed and comfortable. This is really something, and also looking here at the digital instruments and seeing this road that really goes, I mean, it's even in the dark, in this dark or night mode, because it's so dark on the outside that the light sensor catches it and makes it actually darker. Really, really interesting. Having here the air suspension in the auto mode, and once again, really flying on that road, super cool. Steering, by the way, is super precise. Yes, it's comfortable and it's easy to steer. Yet again, there's no dead zone area, and you can also steer it in a very sporty way. And yeah, the bridge that is coming ahead there, this is one of the most spectacular ones, and you also see that the water is about to spill over the road here. So I left some space to the car in front of us now, that you can see the road very, very well. There are different viewpoints here also. You can park at the side of the road and then take a stroll around. Best, of course, in good weather, but yeah, the thing is, when you have such a harsh weather, this bridge is really insane. Look at that. You're literally driving up to the sky, and left and right, there's just the ocean. Wow, really cool thing to enjoy. And here, having that long wheelbase, it also brings more, even more calmness to the whole driving experience. So, and it doesn't feel less agile than the short wheelbase version, because of the rear axis steering. And especially when we're here at slower speeds, the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction, and that kind of fakes a shorter wheelbase. And this is really easy to ease the car around then. Of course, the short wheelbase version will be a little bit more agile. But for example, when I'm steering here, look at that 90-degree corner, 90-degree turn of the steering. That's really easy to do. And for example, when I'm easing this car here around in that parking lot, you can see about the turning circle. And here, now I'm turning all the way in. Rear wheels also go around, and you can see here, although this is a huge vehicle, I could easily do this 180 turn here. Well, in the middle of the way, I changed positions, because it wouldn't be a true luxury sedan review if I wouldn't take off my shoes, be in the back seat, and are being driven. So, and now I mount the camera in a way that it should fit, that it actually, the seat passes the camera, including the microphone receiver mount. That's always, yes, works exactly. This is really spectacular to see. I already prepared the seat control here. This is so cool to have it while driving. Wow, and I mean, oh, my socks should be, properly. Whoa! Yeah, this is such an amazing atmosphere here. And now I also put on the seat massage once again. Yes, my favorite wave massage, of course. And then, meanwhile I get some practice to pick the other seat in the front then big shoe size, wave massage also for my feet. Yeah, massage for my feet is starting, and then I also want to have the feet heating. And sometimes it's a little bit hard to find. There it is. So now seat heating and feet heating. That's cool, right? And I think I could drive like this all day probably. Usually I always prefer to drive a car myself because I'm a car driver, I'm a car enthusiast just like you, and I want to drive the cars. And this is really one of the very, very rare cases where I would say I would really also enjoy being driven for a longer period of time. I mean, really being here all the way, stretch and relax, foot massage, back massage, heated back part of the seat, and then the beautiful landscape here on the outside. Wow, the water is really high today. So last time I was here, there's also another video from the VW Touareg PHEV, where we also drove this road here, also with some great drone shots. Some of them I really used today as well. Wow, I mean, the water is so high that looks so amazing. And indeed, also in the rear, the comfort is superb, also from the suspension. Sometimes you have vehicles which have more comfort near the front axle. Here also you feel that this air suspension comfort also accounts for the rear axle. So everything is evened out very, very well. This is then the big difference, you know, when you're driving in the front yourself. The difference between A8 and A6 is not that extremely huge. You can also get the A6 with an air suspension, and it's really, really... Maybe we just turn around and drive the same road again. So, James? Yeah, okay. Yeah, James is all right with that. He's not really called James. But did I tell you that one funny story? There was one event a couple of days back, and a couple of years ago, actually. Yeah, years and days, whatever. My brain is also, meanwhile, I'm getting old. So there was this event where I was being shuttled and I was getting into the vehicle, and I just said like, hey James, how are you? Well, thank you, James. And then he was turning around and was like, how do you know my name? He just happened to be called James, just by instance. Yeah, and then we start this discussion here on Autogefühl, like, in which country how is a chauffeur called in your country, you know? And then the Korean viewer said, you know, they're called that way. Or the French viewer said, like, was it Jacques? I think in French. So all the countries was writing like, this is how a chauffeur is typically called in our country, you know. But yeah, but James is probably the typical chauffeur name, right?
Two of the most desirable business sedans in a comparison test here on Autogefühl with Thomas, head to head with the Audi A6 versus the BMW 5 Series, both with the 3-liter petrol engines, both 6 cylinders. Let's go. We start with the Audi, typical Bauhaus design, rectangular, really large single frame grille here with the sport look, with the blacked out design. This is also the S-Line exterior package with the sport here, accentuations in the lower part here. LED, yes, but these are not the matrix LED headlamps, so it is missing one option. Therefore, the daytime running light doesn't look that cool actually, but you can of course get it. Tango red is this color. And here at the BMW we have the blue stone metallic color. Blue stone? Isn't it just grey or something? Well, whatever. And here we have the laser lamps. This is also an option, and they have these blue accentuations, and the daytime running light has this, you know, swinging style. This 5 Series here recently updated or recently facelifted. There the headlamps have, you know, more integrated features, so it looks a little bit sleeker on the front, but not less sporty, of course, even wider actually with that huge double kidney here than also in the black styling for today. The question is here in the front exterior styling, it's more often just a matter of preference. Which one is you? Like just from a, like if you have to decide right now, which one would you take from design? Tell me in the comments. As for the side profile, same length, almost 5 meters, just a couple of centimeters difference, but nothing majorly. Interesting that design-wise, the 5 Series looks more agile, I think, especially with the design line right here, the dropping line dividing in light and shadow. Just more agility to the whole vehicle, I think. Here in this case with 18-inch winter tires. So that's how it looks like when the tires are also some more balloonish or in winter time. Of course, would look even more impressive than in summertime. And we also have the shadow line. That means we have the black frames around the windows. We also have this black package with the Audi today here, so very well comparable. S-Line exterior, 19-inch winter tires, so a little bit bigger than. Both come with adaptive suspension as an option with the BMW. The normal level suspension here is the option then that you can go for the adaptive air suspension. but it will be very interesting to compare these then in the driving part, definitely. I think the A6 more has this business sedan style here, so from the design, not that sporty, a little bit more elegant, especially here in this area. And you can see the dropping lines are kind of split right here. Yeah, very interesting to compare it here. And as for the rear, I think they look kind of similar from the rear, don't they? Of course, here the 5 Series, a little bit different from the headlamps, a little bit higher. These horns have been facelifted. They now have a more three-dimensional design, I think really cool, and real exhaust tips here for the 540i. The A6, once again with the dark styling here, this is an option that you get everything in black, also with the black Audi rings. You do not have to go for that one. It's a special black package actually. In the lower part, Autogefühl fake exhaust police, alert here, pure fake exhaust, the real exhaust underneath. So the exhaust battle is won by BMW here in this case, but the overall design thing, in this case, I really have to say I love both from the exterior styling. What about you? Turning indicator comparison looks great with the BMW right there. In this case, a little bit poor with the Audi, but the reason is, here, look at the Audi, this is the base headlamp. But I mean, the car for that price should not even offer this base headlamp with this, standard turning indicator, I think. In the Matrix LED option, where it looks really amazing and you have the more elaborated indicator, then maybe it even looks cooler. But here in this case, we have the high-spec headlamp with the BMW and the low-spec headlamp with the Audi. That's then the case here, where for this reason it loses this small element. And the same accounts also in the rear, but if you would have the higher spec Audi, then you would have the cascading turning indicators. They look actually better than the BMWs, but this is also a very nice solution here. Very slim, right? Key fob comparison, both nice and works well in the pocket. I think here with that ring is a little bit less practical with the BMW. That makes the key bulky, so I would remove that ring here. The Audi looks a little bit more premium at first, but maybe it might collect more scratches and fingerprints. This one here with the matte design with the BMW, but I like both actually. And we start with the interior with the Audi, with the door closing sound. Oh, lovely, look at that. Oh, hear that. Wow, one of the best door closing sounds, that's awesome. The only thing is that they don't close, you see that? They don't close easily. So I think because the insulation here is so well done and here that you really, see that doesn't work, you really have to hammer them that they properly close, but then the closing sound is awesome indeed. And also the build quality on the inside here looks really nice. Clicking sound here for the window levers as well. That's a lovely thing to have. And then this interior, S-line interior as well, perforation then on the steering wheel, for example. That looks really fancy. And then they basically repeat this design from the front grille on the steering wheel. I love this design detail. Then sporty S seats here. Seating materials is depending on the market. On the US market, you can go only animal skin. And on the UK and German market, you can also get, for example, microfiber on the inside. It's a mix, but they always contain animal material here with the Audi A6. So that's not that progressive. The seat ergonomics, however, are really good. So like the base form from the seat, and it will be a little bit more breathable for the Dynamica microfiber variants we can get in the UK and in Germany. You feel like in a typical sedan. At the same time, it's not too low and not uncomfortable at all. Super comfortable ergonomics. And here, steering wheel with a very smooth process. This is a manual version here, but you can easily live with that. And what I love is direct input here. Volume at the steering wheel. Muting it to click it, for example. Left side you control the digital instruments and everything resonates very well. Clicking sounds. It still has then some kind of analog interface, although we have screens here. But important functions on the steering wheel can still be clicked and not this hashtag capacitive BS we see so often nowadays in the car industry. Headroom with 189 or 6'2", no problem, a lot of headroom. With both vehicles you can choose a panoramic roof. These two vehicles we have here today do not have it. They have a lot of other options, and at the end of the day, I'll also tell the price differences will also be very interesting, I can promise. Interior overview, super clean with the Audi. Here the steering wheel, once again with these great buttons. Wow, what a clean design, I love that. Then we have the 2 screens here, both touch screens. Here the car internal GPS is usable, and the menu structure, it's all via touch, no turning knob, but the menu structure is actually overall quite simple. For example, here you can access all the car features and so on. For example, here the drive select, but you can also access it from below, because when you click below, you can also change it. Here the air suspension is also going up or down depending on the driving mode, for example. And the CarPlay or Android Auto integration, wired or wireless, here you can choose, actually, that's a good thing. And Bang & Olufsen sound system is, especially when you turn up that 3D surround sound, wow, it's amazing. So, wow, that is lovely. And I think the Harman Kardon system in the BMW is also very good, but I think this one even tops it a little. Lower part then with the second screen, temperature control is with, like sliding or pressing here. I do prefer real dials, but for a touchscreen solution, it's probably the best touchscreen solution I've seen. It's big enough and so on. And also has some interesting things. For example, if you have 2-zone AC and want to have it synchronized again, you do this swiping gesture and it's synchronized again. That's also interesting. Seat heating is here in the lower part. And when you use the car internal GPS, the lower screen changes. And then you can type when you're standing still or when you're driving. You have then this writing function.
B.
Digital instruments in the Audi. They look really fancy. You can change the view, have this one bigger, for example. You can also have the GPS map in the middle part, but only the car internal GPS though. And also the Audi offers a head-up display. They're also quite equal each. Nice big shifting lever still here. And then this can be put open, very well attached to my USB-C charger, inductive charging pad, but especially the iPhone does quickly overheat here. Interesting thing, by the way, in the Audi with the seat belt here on the passenger side. That's what you sometimes hear while driving. That's annoying. And it's always like in Audi or VW that they are attached on the inside of the doors in that way. And here, when you move them down, this is a solution, then it's tight, and then you don't hear that while driving, or you would need to attach them. But this is already the good solution. Always slide it down, actually. So yeah. But let's see how it is in the BMW later. Now the rear seating area. Let's take a look here first. So. Yeah, it looks actually quite cool. The middle console is large, so it won't leave too much space then in this case. What about legroom and so on? And here inside of the doors, this nice soft touch material right here. Very well done here as for the whole finish. Also for the window levers here in the back. So yeah, that looks really good for the finish. When I'm driving, as a tall driver in the front, leaves some legroom, no problem for at least 4 tall adults here. Headroom also, both don't have panoramic roof option here today. Some headroom is left, and it's definitely fairly comfortable due to that huge middle console. Of course, the middle seat is kind of tricky. Yeah, somehow works. Not the most comfortable position, but it still works. And I really like this separate climate unit they have then here in the rear. Also with clicking sounds then, it is a screen, yes, but still clicking sounds, and 2 USB-C chargers then here meanwhile. In the middle part, we can fold this one down, some space plus cup holders, and they are also adaptive here in the rear. Now rear seating here of the BMW. Let's take a look first. Also nice entry, but yeah, when you already see that looks a little bit closer here. It looks quite equal from that middle part here, because both have also this all-wheel drive thing. And also here, nice material choices here. Everything also very well done. So build quality seems both great. Here legroom wise, yeah, it works, but closer. And the Audi also has this recess here, left and right. So legroom wise, clearly a win for the Audi. You see here that the bench is, I think, bent a little bit more like this from the angle. And seating comfort wise, it's actually quite fine. So also good comfort. But you see here, I think my legs are, you have more space here. And also BMWs typically like for decades have a very large area here, and you don't have too much space here for your outer elbow. So overall, I think, yes, when sitting here, it's comfortable. Headroom is also comparable, no problem here for tall adults. So you'll get along with both definitely really nice comfort. But I think the crucial thing would be, if you are very tall, then the Audi would be your choice in the rear. So if you're driving a lot of times, like with 4 tall adults, for example, then the Audi leads it. Otherwise, the comfort is also fine in the BMW. Middle seat here, it's a little bit firmer here in the middle part, so also not ideal. So indeed, the difference is the Audi just offers a little bit more legroom, that's clear. But the comfort here itself, and we're a little bit, a little bit shorter, it's comparable. Here, equal system, a little bit more space. Where's that? You can't fold up this. That's astonishing. Here, cup holders, they are also somewhat adaptive, but not as adaptive. Oh, somehow I activated the rear the rear climate unit here, which I found cooler with the BMW, because you can still have the real turning dials here. That's cool. And yeah, now I could, I must have hit this one then activated it. Actually, also seat heating for the rear is available, but that's an option. Now the interior of the BMW in the front. Oh yeah, I always close the BMW here when I put my finger here. That's how to close it, and then here, that's how to open it with the keyless entry. And then, oh, the door closing sound is way worse. That's a clear difference. So door closing sound battle is, yeah, that's the thing here, won by the Audi. Then inside the doors, the build quality here is also very nicely done. Maybe looks a little bit more premium with the Audi, or what do you guys think? The interior has some kind of a sport here touched as first sight at least. Also there's the M Sport steering wheel, for example. We also still have real buttons at the steering wheel, that's nice. The clicking sound is a little bit better in the Audi though. This is an easy thing here to reach the steering wheel heating, that's also an option. Then here, this is the animal skin seat. But for the 5 Series, since the facelift, you can get new perforated Sensatex seats, and they are great in comfort, actually way more comfortable than these ones here, because they are plusher from the surface and also softer and have the perforation. They are also more breathable and so on. And of course better for animals and also for the environment when you really look at the whole energy that is put in the production and so on. Seating comfort here at first sight is still quite nice. When I start the engine here, the steering wheel comes down, then there's a comfort entry function. Yeah, that's 6 in a row, right? Yeah, the sound I think is definitely better with the BMW, or what's your take on that? So steering wheel here with the electric function, up and down, in and out. The steering wheel itself, that's a tough question. I mean, also has a nice size. Steering wheel itself, I think a little bit better with the Audi. And the seating comfort here, yeah, the ergonomics also seem better with the Audi, but when you have the perforated Sensatex seats, the comfort difference is not as large. Maybe they are then also better, so it really depends on the concise trim. In the US, the perforated Sensatex seats are standard now, and in Germany as well. In headroom, by the way, also no problem, plenty of them available here with the BMW too. Oh, by the way, here at BMW, here, the seat belt holder is not attached here up there. It's more down, and that's why this area here does not have, this sound effect. So it's a better solution here sound-wise, but you cannot adjust it in here. It's just fixed in one height. Interior overview, I would say a little bit less clean here with the BMW, but more driver-oriented actually. So everything is lent a little bit towards the driver. That's speaking more for this BMW philosophy. On the steering wheel, still well to control, and also here, for example, for the volume selection, shifting pedals. Yeah, that more speaks to, hey, let's attack, let's attack the road actually. Still a lot of manual buttons, for example here for the volume control, and also that's what I really love here, still the manual climate unit. This is a screen then here, but to control the temperature here is the real control, so that's easy and straightforward, so I really like that indeed. Let's zoom on this to the screen up there. Here in the lower part, for example, you can slide this one open, then you have cup holders behind it, and the inductive charging pad is in the front. Here for the iPhone it still works, but if you would have the Plus or the Max, then it would not fit
the inductive charging pad there in the front. You still also have a real BMW shifting lever here. That's giving you a good sporty feeling. Drive mode selection is here. In contrast to the Audi, here you can still control the infotainment system from below. So that's good to do that, for example, while driving, that you don't have to use the screen here. By the way, if the screen is flickering now, we tried everything from the shutter speed. It doesn't work, that that's not flickering, but on real life, it does not flicker. And here, quite smooth. Infotainment system is fast enough. This is the OS 7, the older version, not like in the all new versions. And this is the integration. CarPlay and Android Auto are wireless only, actually. And the same song, but with the Harman Kardon sound system. It's a good song. Good song anyway, but good sound, I mean. But actually, the Bang & Olufsen system in the Audi has a better three-dimensional sound indeed. Here there's a split armrest, so easier to open in a way, but you don't have too much space down there. Another USB-C charger. Digital instruments. When you turn on the engine like this, they come alive. And in this case, in this view here, you don't have the RPMs in that view. You can have the car internal GPS in the middle part. But when you go to the sports mode, for example, gauge change, and then you also here have the RPM on the right side. Yeah, boom, boom. And you have a head-up display. You can also adjust the height or something. It's always sharper in real life than it appears on camera, by the way, especially in here, with these raindrops that start to come here from time to time today. Oh, and by the way, once again here, integration of the ambient lighting. The Audi also offers one, but it's not equipped with the vehicle today. Another option, but here you can very well see this nice blue line in the ambient light here in the BMW. What about the trunk space? Let's start with the Audi. Here, cabin trolley. Let's see how much space we have here in the vertical way. No problem. The width here, easily 1.40 meters, and the length is like 120 in meters or 47 inches. The height, about 50 centimeters or 19 inches. Very well usable square dimensions. But what about the BMW? Let's move over. So let's take a look right here. We also have a different cabin trolley in here. Put it up. Oh, that looks like more space here. We have this step here, but then we can lift nothing up. So that's pro and con definitely. Let's check out the width first. So it was 1 meter or 40 inches with the Audi. And I mean, here in the front, yes, easily. But then there, you are limited. So it is not as wide as with the Audi. The length was 120 with the Audi. It's a little bit less than 120. It's like 115 or 45 inches. The only thing is here in the height, it's 54 centimeters or 21 inches. So here with the 5 Series, not as wide, especially in this area. A little bit shorter, but a little bit higher. Not sure if the height would be the crucial thing. Maybe in most cases width is more a crucial thing. So I think here probably one with the Audi. And you know, just forgot to show you that. We have this net here, and then you can also fold up this and have even more space underneath it. You can also fit a spare tire here. So I think then in this case, closely won by the Audi. Engines, I picked totally comparable ones. Both 3-liter 6-cylinder with around 340 horsepower, depends on the market and the unit, and both with the acceleration figure around 5 seconds. Well, but the BMW is the inline 6-cylinder. There you can see also in this visualization, they're in the row right there, just behind after each other. And this engine here is to me the best in the BMW lineup actually. You can get it with X-Drive, with the overdrive or rear-wheel drive. This special thing about the BMW, it's also available as rear-wheel drive. And of course also with smaller engines, diesel, plug-in hybrid and so on and so on. And on the Audi side also petrol, plug-in hybrid, diesel. Here then with a V6 setup, you can also see it here in the visualization 3.3. And when you pick the Quattro all-wheel drive here with the big engines, it is still rear-wheel bias. It's then 40% in the front, 60% in the rear of permanent all-wheel drive. Smaller Audi engines have the front-wheel bias. So in this case then, the engine would be better with the BMW, so to speak, when you have rear-wheel drive only, versus the smaller ones which have the Quattro all-wheel drive with front-wheel bias. Then you have a sportier setup than here.
But which one sounds better?
Welcome to Thomas's comparison driving lounge, starting here with the BMW 540i, the 6-cylinder in the 5 Series, and we go with the Autobahn acceleration, and we'll start at about 40 kilometers an hour, sports mode. I'll also go to the sports shifting mode. Let's go. $150. And 200 kilometers an hour, and I drop it right here, a little bit off because the road is getting wet. And so far it's not that wet yet, but of course we have to be careful. That all-wheel drive acceleration was of course quite safe and there was no other car around. So still, I recommend not driving that fast when it's rainy. And I also drop the speed here now a little bit. Lane change here, really safe. The suspension here is not that stiff, but also not soft, so it's a good compromise. We have the adaptive suspension, and in that sports mode then we have a little bit more feedback from the suspension. That's actually good. Steering is quite direct and really light even in the sports mode, so there's not much feedback from the steering wheel. We have the integral active steering in here, that's the option with the rear axle steering, and that gives us more stability at higher speeds because the rear wheels are steering in the parallel direction. At lower speeds in the opposite one, and that is giving us more agility. It makes everything, let's say, a little bit less natural from the feeling, but it delivers a great advantage when a turning circle is, for example, is narrow and just easing in and out of a basement garage, for example. So overall, a very good option to have for a rather large sedan, definitely. You've maybe heard it. Was maybe a little bit influenced by the rain as well. The noise insulation is overall very good, so not too much noise at higher speeds indeed. And here now in the tunnel you hear it as well, it's staying relatively calm. Really looking forward how it will be in the Audi, if it will be more silent or not. Here you can also see the ambient lighting very well. Look at that here and that. So that looks really, really fancy indeed. Very nice and subtle integration of the, I've set it now to blue, you can also change the colors, of course. So that 6-cylinder also gives a nice sound, and it's really, to me, the right-sized engine for this vehicle. You don't need the 8-cylinder from the M5 or the M550i. They both have the 8-cylinder in there. So the 540i to me is the right pick for this vehicle. You can also pick it as rear-wheel drive, at least in the States, and that gives us, more accelerating out of the corners in a more agile way. Here it still has a rear-wheel bias from that all-wheel drive, but to have the rear-wheel drive version only can be more fun at times. Also better as for the fuel economy, but if you're not speeding it that much on the motorway, but rather driving in a calm way or cruise control, 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour predominantly, and so on, you can score some 9 liters on 100 kilometers, 26 mpg US, 31 mpg UK, if you rather keep it rather steady and not hammer it out all the way on the motorway. So it's not that inefficient, and you have a lot of driving fun considering that. Now here, accelerating out of the corner, really nicely done, good grip, nice sound, and still you feel the rear wheel bias from the all-wheel drive. So that's a really lovely thing to have. Really, really nice. That engine has, in German we would say like cultivation. And there's this German word we say Laufkultur. As direct translation would be like the, how. Well, it's not like the culture of the engine, but it's more like the good feature of the engine and running in the low frequency, sonorous way. You don't have to push it, because when you switch to the comfort mode, suspension is a little bit softer, everything is easier, RPMs stay lower, and you can easily cruise that vehicle. And well, shockingly to me is that this vehicle is equipped with cruise control only. Of course, you have the adaptive cruise control with active lane keeping assist and so on, but it's still an option. And how can this vehicle be so expensive and fully packed, and this is not even included? So yeah, the pricing policy is not really that fair. That's always the thing. One more time a tunnel, and then we get to one more acceleration. I already put it once again in sports mode, and the gauges also change a little bit. And we can listen one more time to the noise installation when it's not raining that hard. So now we're starting at 80 kilometers an hour and accelerate it out. Let's see. That's 150. I'll stop here right now. Wow, that's really nice. Again, I'm keeping it rather safe. Wow, here in that corner is also such a great handling. So although you're driving a big sedan, you have a lot of sporty driving fun. That's really nice. Yeah, the only thing is really that I would wish for a little bit more feedback from that steering. And I told you about that sometimes. Subscribers know. I think BMW lost the way there a little bit. So in the past, it was the other way around. Like BMWs were the hardest to steer, and you had so much feedback. I mean, that some even said like, I don't want to drive that one. It's so hard to steer. Actually, it's like it just creates too much effort. But then the servo steerings came and so on, and everything got better. And then they still had natural feeling. But nowadays, I think they tend to be a little bit too loose from that steering, and I think that has to change definitely. So let's go back here, right lane. Just gives me a very, very nice feeling. The comfort from these seats here, by the way, is in this case not top notch, and it's really the thing. Although the seat form stays the same, but when you get it with the new perforated Sensatex seats I've shown to you in the interior part there, when we had it at another vehicle, it really gives you so much more comfort in driving, because the surface is more plush. You have these perforation inside there and this special stitching, which makes some kind of individual cushions on the seat. I'm really surprised how much more comfort they bring while driving. I've driven a vehicle with that one. And these seats here are, in comparison, then rather uncomfortable. So be aware to stick with the perforated Sensatex seats, and if you can't get them in your market, ask for it. So all the BMWs that are built in true BMW plants, it's of course the case also for the 5 Series, usually they make it possible for the customer when you say like, I know this car exists in this spec, and now it leaves the plant that way. I will buy one when you get me my wish. It's can't hurt to try that, definitely. Countryside driving, it's still a lot of fun. The car is not leaning at all to the sides, and at the same time the suspension stays comfortable. So the suspension here, as for the this compromise of comfort and sportiness, I love it. And it's not an air suspension here in this vehicle, and you can easily live with that. So it's not like, oh, I would need an air suspension to get more comfort. No, this adaptive suspension by BMW is one of the best there is on the market, and it's doing a phenomenal job. In this case, the driving experience is a little bit softer because we have 18-inch wheels mounted, and with winter tires, and that gives me more dampening from the tire itself. So the whole interior concept and the feeling, it is definitely laid out on sportiness, also the how the seats are and so on. So definitely we already feel right now that here the 5 Series is appealing more to a customer that appreciates sportiness in driving. As I said, the comfort is there, especially then when you went for the Sensatex seats. But what about some fast, agile driving in tighter corners? For example here, at the traffic light. Yeah, here again, it is 90 degrees, it's good, but to me a little bit more feedback from the steering wheel would actually be good. Yeah, and the drive mode selection here, it's easy to reach, it's actually no problem. And having the OS 7 here, not the all-new OS 8 while driving, yeah, it's actually such a relief. It's way easier to control this system here. But now to the tight corners. And there we go. A little more tight, winding corners. Some leaves on the road. To be careful, of course. We can go once again to the sports mode. Let's see. So sport shifting. Yeah, all-wheel drive giving us good traction here. Nice sound from the engine, and the road is quite rough. The suspension is still doing a good job keeping up the comfort. Let's see here now that rear axle steering. Wow, it's getting that vehicle around. That's really nice. Construction work going on here. Yeah, good acceleration out of the corner now. This S-bend here. Wow, beautiful. So the rear axle steering really makes the car more agile, especially at lower speeds then. And yeah, I mean, it can feel kind of strange also when you go left and right like this. You do feel it. You feel like the rear end of the vehicle is indeed moving, and it does, you know. That it's a weird feeling, but you get used to it. Once again, it's not a natural feeling, but it gives you more agility, and especially it's so much easier to maneuver that vehicle around than when it gets a little bit narrow in, like I said, basement garage and so on. So yeah, great performance here from the driving part. But the question is the A6 better or worse, or are they equal? And here we go with the Audi A6, also at the 3-liter petrol engine with all-wheel drive. And let's put it to the dynamic mode. And it automatically goes to the S shifting mode. We'll also start at 40 kilometers an hour. Let's see how the acceleration goes here. Let's go. 100. 150. Plop, and that's 200 kilometers an hour. Now the road is dry, of course, but I could go with the acceleration with the BMW as well. The acceleration figure to 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour are exactly identical. Also same horsepower amount. Here also suspension in that adaptive mode goes stiffer at higher speeds. And we have 19-inch wheels instead of 18-inch wheels, also with winter tires. And yeah, that feels indeed a little bit sportier from suspension, surprisingly. Here we do have the adaptive air suspension that is built in this very test vehicle, and that also gives us a wide span between stiffer and not so stiff. I was really kind of surprised that this setup here seemed sportier at higher speeds indeed than with the BMW, although the whole cockpit layout and so on is rather set on this luxury tone and not necessarily on the sporty tone. So that's where the BMW gives you more the first feeling of being sportier. But here suspension-wise, especially when you are in that dynamic mode, this one seemed actually even sportier. And also steering is huge difference. So the Audi gives us a better steering feeling indeed. It is very precise and direct, but gives me more feedback already in the auto mode. Let's see in the dynamic mode. That doesn't change too much actually. Yeah, a little bit, but not too much actually. So there the steering changes also with the BMW a little bit more probably, but still the big difference is the Audi has the more precise steering. It gives me more a feeling of what I am experiencing on the road. So, and I will also confirm that later on probably when we have the winding corners part. So the steering feel is definitely a point for the Audi. Suspension wise, told you with the BMW, it's a great suspension. So suspension wise, both do a very good job. Yeah, I mean 18-inch winter tires for the BMW. It will be a little bit, wow, that's low standing blinding sun now. So with the BMW, with summer tires and bigger wheels, it will also be a little bit more equal. But yeah, both suspensions are doing a great job. Also, if you do not have air suspension here, but just go with the normal adaptive suspension here with the Audi, it would also be just fine. To me, really, the big difference is the steering feel, which this one is definitely won by Audi. And Isn't there something going on there? I mean, when you think about a steering feel comparison, shouldn't the BMW win this, you know? Like from the brand identity wise. So I think this, definitely I'm addressing the BMW engineers. You have to win back the steering feeling game. So it can't be like the real thing for the company that Audi is winning this aspect in the comparison, right? Isn't it? But here, to me, the steering wheel is perfect. So Audi is nailing it with the steering feeling. At this moment, I think that Audi and Porsche, they together deliver you the best steering feeling in all vehicles. So still comfortable, but sporty, and you have a direct feeling of what you are experiencing on the road. And you will also see now this next traffic light in here, the green now, and now there is exactly a 90-degree bend. And look what the steering is doing. So 90-degree bend, and here just a little bit more because there's this, that's tighter corner in the middle, but you almost have the copy of what's being done on the road. And I think that's a very, very good thing to have. It gives you orientation and it gives you so much control over the vehicle. The consumption figure here, by the way, kinda equal. You can also score the very same consumption figures. Also some 9 liters, more kilometers, 26 mpg US, 31 mpg UK. So both same engines, same equal, same horsepower output. One is V6, the other is R6. Two different, like how the cylinders are oriented. That's meant by that. That isn't too big of a difference. That's why I picked these two vehicles for the comparison today, that you really can compare them. Now the interesting thing is with the all-wheel drive system. We're also experiencing when I'm accelerating out here at the traffic light. So I let this Vito there. There must be a motorcycle in that Vito. They put a Yamaha logo on the back of that Mercedes Vito. That's a fun thing, right? So, but maybe not the best thing for burglars, because when they know the Yamaha logo, it's like, oh, there must be some nice motorcycle inside. I'm gonna take a look at that. So when I'm accelerating out of the corner here now, here like this, see here once again 90-degree steering wheel, and yeah, it's beautifully done indeed. Such a good feeling. The key thing is here when you hear, it does not only have a Yamaha in the back here, obviously also has NOS injection. So with the all-wheel drive, Quattro is not always Quattro. There are like several different Quattro systems at Audi, and when you have the 3-liter engines, 3-liter 6-cylinders, both diesel and petrol. So here on the petrol side, this one here, and also the S6 and also the RS6. The S6 in the US. In Europe, they went for the diesel for the S6, but then you also have the 3-liter diesel, of course, and of course the RS6 and with that 8-cylinder. So when you have these big engines, then you still have a rear wheel bias with the Quattro system. So the all-wheel drive systems here are comparable. However, if you think a comparison of the lower entry versions, 5 Series versus A6, then the 5 Series would give us clearly a better agility driving out of the corners. Let's say you pick a 2-liter 4-cylinder, and then you make it with rear-wheel drive for the BMW, and you pick a 2-liter 4-cylinder for the Audi, and then you have the front-wheel biased Quattro all-wheel drive. And that's of course not that cool. So now from 100 kilometers an hour, and again another acceleration, picking it up very well. Wow, 150. 170. Of course, now the road is a little bit drier, so I can drive a little bit faster, 200. And wow, it gives me such a great controlled feeling over the vehicle. So I have to say, yes, bearing in mind, this is a wheel bigger here, but still it's 18 versus 19-inch winter tires in the comparison, so that's okay. Here, of course, then the air suspension, but the suspensions are still in the... No, I don't want any traffic announcement. That's super annoying, right? So, DAB announcement off. I hate that when, Goodbye. So, back to the vehicle, sorry about that. So, I'm kind of astonished a little bit that the Audi gives me a more controlled feeling over the vehicle, and that's to me a surprise. Maybe I would have expected that from the, when I have an S6, but here at the usual A6, wow, that's really a thing. Everyone maybe before watching this review was thinking, okay, yeah, the BMW will be the sportier and the A6 will be the more comfortable one. So, and the conclusion is, if you go more comfort, then pick the A6. If you want to go sporty more, then go for the 5 Series. No, actually, this one here does feel sportier. As for the characteristics, it's a really weird thing, So, like suspension, steering setup, and so on. But the BMW first has the sportier impression, exterior, how the interior is oriented, how the car makes you feel in the first place. But then when you experience the vehicle, the A6 feels more sporty, especially in that sense of I'm in control.
How good is the all-new BMW 5 Series and how does it rate against the main competitors, Mercedes E-Class or the electric one, the Mercedes EQE? We're going to find out here today in our extensive driving review with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. Here you can see all the 5 Series version, no matter if electric or petrol or diesel or plug-in hybrid, will more or less look the same. They're building on the very same platform. And here on our channel, we'll keep you updated with all the different versions. This one here is the i5 M60. So this is the M Performance model, and also with the M Sport Package Pro. That means the black frame around the double kidney. And also here the M logo. Lower part also, when you have the normal M Sport Package, looks sportier here. And mineral white is this exterior color. We have more colors for you. One of my favorite colors is here the frozen pure gray. There's also a deep frozen gray available. It would be a little bit darker, but here in the bright one, I think, yeah, that's what I really like. The matte paints here, by the way, you can always hear it when you feel them actually. The advantage is actually that they look cool, yes, and when it rains, it almost gets cleaned by itself. The disadvantage is when you have minor scratches, you cannot really easily, polish them or so, then you just have to repaint. So that's the downside. Well, and then another pro and con, the extra price here from a German configurator is 3,750 euros. But then again, all the matte paints are now bio-based. So when you pick a matte paint, it is actually more sustainable. So you can say like, when you argue at home, yeah, I need to go for the matte paint because, more sustainable and so on. And this is here the i5 M60 in fire red, so different color. Of course, you can also get all the colors for all the different powertrains. And this is also equipped with some more carbon fiber details, for example, at the side mirror. Or also in the rear, you can see this small spoiler in carbon fiber. And one more color for you is Brooklyn Gray, also one of my favorite colors. And here we can also see the direct comparison. Here with our i5 M50 and the M Sport Package Pro, we have the outer frame in black, and also here the inside part looks a little bit different. And here, this one here is the eDrive 40, so that means the rear-wheel drive standard or base electric version, base i5. And then this one only has the M Sport Pack, that means we have the sportier lower accentuations, but the outer kidney frame is still then bright. I think that really looks better. And also the inside of the double kidney, I think just looks more classic BMW here with the vertical fins. So if you ask me, compare this styling here, right, or it's on your left, right, on your left and to this right. So on your left, the styling, I like this one way better than this one here. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Here, when I give a little bit of shade to the front double kidney, you can get this optional, the iconic glow. Then the frame is also illuminated. Adaptive LED main headlamp unit, then the daytime running light here, or when you hit the turning indicators or hazard lights, they replace it and have this pulsing effect. And turning indicators in the rear, very wide. Yeah, this is definitely visible. The length is now at 5 meters 6 or 199 inches. That's 10 centimeters or 4 inches longer than the predecessor. Wheels from 18 inch to maximum 21. These are the biggest 21-inch wheels in this M design. Really impressive indeed. And you can also get these black contrasts here, the side mirrors, also in the lower part. You can see it has a very high contrast, especially to the mineral white color. In general, if you compare the BMW to the Mercedes, whereas Mercedes
both with the E-Class and also especially with the EQE, the EV version, goes more in the round direction. This one here more has this classic German angular styling. Very nice indentation here of the 5 logo, by the way. What do you think about the design, and also especially if you compare it to the competitors? Typical 3-box sedan styling, I liked it, and also the angular shapes, really widely drawn tail lamps. And as for technology, let's start with the suspension. You have base suspension. You can go for an M Sport suspension, a fixed one. Also comes with the M Sport pack. You can also optionally go for the Adaptive Suspension Professional. That one always comes in a package with adaptive dampers and also rear exit steering. Goes 2.5 degrees in the opposite direction than the front wheels, reduces the turning circle. And for the M60 here, you can get the Adaptive M Suspension Professional. That one also adds an anti-tilt control that it stays more upright. And to be even more specific, the i5, so all the electric versions and the plug-in hybrids, because of more weight on the rear axle, always also get air suspension at the rear axle. And this vehicle here is also mineral white, but it does not have the M Sport pack. That means there's no black accentuations here. Here we have the air curtain, wind goes through there, and a little bit cleaner look all around, less sporty maybe, but I feel it maybe looks even a little bit sleeker that way without the M Sport package. Or what do you think? And also a crucial difference, this one here without the M Sport pack and also in the eDrive 40 version, so let's say the base electric version, has a CD value of 0.23, whereas the i5 M60 has 0.25. So there is a big difference in aerodynamics. And this one here is also 170 kilograms lighter because you only have the electric motor at the rear axle. So in our driving part later on, we'll do a comparison of consumption between the all-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive model. And we'll also do a special feature on the highway assistance system. So there's a new autonomous driving feature where I just drive with my hands off, and it's even allowed. So more to come in the driving part very soon. Super interesting also here in the side profile. First of all, 20-inch wheels, so a little bit smaller, but still large, right? And then here we have chrome frames around the windows, a little bit more classic styling here also with the 5 indentation. And also in the lower part here, not a high gloss black in this non-super sporty version. And I think that's even more curious. Look at that, when the light is shimmering right here, these structures inside, you can really feel it and see how the light is changing. So I feel that this styling is even cooler and fits the vehicle more. What do you think? And the rear of the base version, especially here in the lower part, here a little bit more silver contrast, and then you have a rather matte black in the lower part, whereas the M Sport versions would once again have this high gloss black diffuser style. So here once again a little bit more subtle, and I really have to say, really fell in love with this more simple styling here. This is the BMW app, and here we can show you that remote parking is possible, tap and hold. So for example, when it would be in a narrow parking lot or something, I can just control the car by my phone. So no one is driving here. I'm not faking it. So here I can press backward. There we go. There. And then I can ease the car out. So let's think about, you have maybe like an old parking garage that is really narrow, where you can hardly open the doors because it was built for more narrow cars. That's the easy way. And then you can also take your car for a walk. Oh, good boy, good boy. Yeah, he was, early in dog school, and really learned to drive by my side. I love that feature. To open and close the vehicle, use the smartphone app, or you can also use the classic key fob. I'm glad it's still the choice. Then here on the left side is some metal here in the M Sport or in the M60, so it's actually heavier. Interesting actually. Flush door handles here, but they still give a haptic feedback when you open them like this. So at the moment the car is closed, there we go, there it's open. You just need to hold the smartphone in your hand. It's also possible. Door closing sound. Yeah, I love that. Let's do it again. Beautiful, very solid door closing sound. Inside of the doors, soft touch material, all structured. Then it's even softer here a little bit for the elbows. And the window levers, they are mainly just black plastic, just have this,
this contrast on the top part, and you can see here this interior bar already begins right here, and there you can set the memory seating and so on, optional Bowers & Wilkins sound system. This one here is also the M Sport interior, which is also standard for the M60. Then you have the M steering wheel with the contrast stitches on the inside, sportier form. However, this one then is still animal material. The base steering wheel would also be vegan. That's also a step forward now. Then the seats, either you get sport seats as standard, I'm soon going to show you them, or these here are the optional comfort seats. They are a little bit more open in the upper area and also a little bit more comfy in the lower area. What I love, by the way, here, look at that. This is the lengthenment for the lower seating area. I pulled it all the way out and there is no gap left. So when you pull it out, there's no gap left where you can, have like crumbles inside or whatever. So it's easy to clean and looks also clean. This is also the Veganza material, so it's completely animal-free, super soft and also as durable or even a little bit more durable than the animal skin alternative. And the seating comfort is indeed superb. So one of the best at the moment in the sedan segment. Same material is used in the 7 Series, by the way. The only difference is that the 7 Series might have a little bit higher Einsitzhöhe, listen and repeat, Einsitzhöhe, so a little bit more dampening underneath. The main thing is that both are available also here, perforation and also with the ventilation. That's, I think, pretty cool. The sport seat have a little bit more side support if you drive sport here. These here, however, the comfort seats will deliver more comfort. So overall, I think I would go for these here. As for headroom with 189 or 6'2", still have headroom left here. This then the one with the glass roof and I have to put it forward actually because it rolls in the front, so you have more headroom in the rear. So this one here fixed glass roof, but with the shade when it gets really hot. I think it's very important. As an alternative, I heard that the US market still gets a small roof that you can actually also open. It won't be all the way then, but at least you can still open it. But there are always pros and cons about all different kinds of fixed roof, fixed glass roof, and also the openable glass roof. This could actually fill an hour itself talking about the pros and cons there. And these here are the sport seats as they would be standard for the M Sport Pack or for the M60. Here you can see the Veganza on the interior, sport seat form, perforation, and on the sides here in the top part, there you have Alcantara inserts. And they are also perforated, and the M colors here, red, blue and the bright blue, they shine basically from the background. And the same also accounts for the head restraint, Alcantara covering, perforated and also with this shiny background. Interior cockpit overview, you have this curved screen, but then 12.3 on the left, 14.9 inch on the right side. You have also, you can get this one here, this light bar, this ambient light bar, and it also switches according to the driving modes. For example, if you go to the sport mode, then here it turns red. The only thing I don't really understand, and it's better in the 7 Series, for example, here, this split. I think a light bar would need to go through on the very same horizontal level. Here it's kind of like here, and oh, where is it? Ah, there it continues. You know what I mean? Here you can also get a carbon fiber decal element, but also different decal elements are available. Soft touch on the top dashboard, and so much different, for example, to a Mercedes E-Class interior or a Mercedes EQE. So the layout is really very different. Steering wheel still with some physical buttons. It's a mix, so to speak. Right side here for the volume. BMW OS 8.5. Here, different home screen as well. And then you also have this app view where you can access everything. Yeah, it's really a lot. You have a YouTube app now. You can watch Bundesliga, and you also have the Air Console games for some gaming experiences, for example. And vehicle apps is always, for example, interesting because in the live vehicle app, there you also have the consumption data and so on. Then the Apple CarPlay integration looks like this, wireless, both also for Android Auto. And you can also have the maps here in the left instrument screen. Here, the climate unit is always in the lower part, and it's actually very cool here, the cool seats for the Veganza perforated material. However, to access them, actually, it's more complicated than with physical controls. Digital instruments, when I start up the vehicle, you have the startup sound, and then simple and clean, left side speed, right side then the power, or then here for the electric version you can see also the recharging, and you can also change the whole content you want to see in the middle part. That's possible. Also then, like Apple Maps and so on. This is the car internal map, and you can also get a proper head-up display. In the front you have inductive charging pad, here also with some cooling holes. However, the disadvantage is it looks like two, but just the left side is for the recharging. The right side is just for storage basically. Then adaptive cup holders, two USB-C chargers, and we have still this control lever here. There you can also control the infotainment system while driving, and it also has a nice sound and still a normal volume jog right here. I like that. Here, this is where you control the driving modes. This is to me a little bit too complicated to do that while driving, because you have to click here and then in touchscreen, or then use this one. So a separate control for that would be better, I feel. And we have this split opening. I always like that for the storage right there. And listen to that, also with a nice closing sound. And here now, this is also the animal-free steering wheel. It has different styling. We know it from the BMW iX, because the iX had this form, and now we'll also get as an update also the animal-free material. It feels a little bit different, but very similar. You wouldn't know it actually if you didn't, if no one told you before. I feel it feels even a little bit softer, and as I said earlier, it is tested on at least the same durability actually. So it looks a little bit more futuristic, I feel. The other one, the M Sport, looks a little bit more sporty definitely, but both have something definitely. But this one, of course, then more animal friendly. And very interesting tip, by the way. You might remember this new EU law that when you exceed the speed, there's always this beeping and so on for very new vehicles. Mercedes were the first one to introduce a hotkey when you hold the mute key. Here they did it in a similar way. So there's an exclusive information for you now. Here, set, that works on both steering wheels. Set and hold a little bit while driving. Then also this, special assistant that is always beeping is deactivated. However, you have to set it each time the car starts up again. When you shut down the vehicle, start again, that is actually mandatory by law. That's the only thing that manufacturers can do, is activate these hotkeys or short ways solutions to deactivate it quickly again. And here, by the way, also different decor element. This is like a dark wood with, this shiny cover. Also not too bad. I usually prefer matte open cell thing, but definitely more decor elements are available, of course. And here you can also see how this different steering wheel looks in the whole cockpit setting. Rear seating area, it does fit 4 tall Ls also in the rear, but it is a pain of this segment that also counts for the competitors, that considering the exterior length, you don't have so much space for your legs in the rear. Again, considering the package. However, it would fit even better when I put the front seat a little bit higher. Then the recess here at the back part of the seat would fit better. would fit better for the knees and also for my feet underneath the seat. What I found quite cool is that here we just have a USB-C charger and an iPad holder. It's actually a very easy and simple solution. The seating comfort itself is really good because of the soft material. This Veganza material is actually softer than the animal skin counterpart, and it is actually also in the passive way more breathable. I had recently a direct test, so they don't get too hot that easily. Then in the front you also have the ventilation. Here in the middle part, cup holders, they are adaptive, so I'm also happy here with the build quality and so on. You can also fold down this ski hatch right here. Oh, there's my lunch bag. See you later, lunch bag. And then in the lower part we have a climate unit that is all digital. It looks clean, however. I do prefer always manual climate knobs, you know that. But I think it's reasonably simple. You can also get rear seat heating, as you can see, and 2 more USB-C chargers. And just as a proof, so because they pull in this shade for the glass roof in the front, I still have headroom here also in the rear for tall passengers. And not to forget, also soft touch here for the rear doors on the inside. As for the trunk, wait a minute, what does as have to do with the trunk? As for the trunk or the boot, let's open it. We have 490 liters for the i5 or 520 liters for the combustion engine models. And you can see here, it's a little bit less than 1 meter or 40 inches in width. And the length is actually more than 40 inches or a meter. It's like 112 or 44 inches. So the difference is also the lower part. If you have a combustion engine model, then this one here is a little bit lower, but there's no space underneath. If you have a plug-in or i5, then you have some space underneath, but it's a little bit higher overall. And you can also fold the seats. unlock them right here and here, but then you either have to push it with the luggage, that's possible, or have to go around, then you can also load through. Does it frunk or not here in the electric versions? Let's lift it. No, it does not, but wow, largest engine cover ever. Here also with some carbon fiber styling. At least it looks good, but some frunk would have been cool, wouldn't it? Then let's talk about the different engine specs. Overall, the acceleration figure for the new 5 Series ranges from 7.5 seconds, slowest, to 3.8 seconds. That is this one here, the i5 M60. Maybe later there will also be something else, like a true M version. We'll keep you updated with that. And there will also be a touring version if the sedan is not enough for you. Overall, there are pure petrol, pure diesel, plug-in hybrid petrol, and the all-electric versions. The full engine lineup is really very wide. We have it in the pinned comment and also in the video description for you that you can check it out. Electric specific, you get a battery of 81 kilowatt hours net. What concerns range we can score with that, we're going to find out today in our driving test later on. As for recharging, less than 30 minutes from 10 to 80% state of charge. Difference in the two versions so far, as a rear-wheel drive version only, that one then around 6 seconds in the acceleration figure, or this one here, the all-wheel drive electric version, the M60 with 3.8 seconds in the acceleration figure, then one electric motor per axle, but the rear one will always be the stronger one. And there will also be an all-wheel drive electric version coming up, which is not the M version, so something in between. And now to the driving part of the all-new 5 Series. Oh wait, wrong vehicle. Acceleration first, i5 M60 all-wheel drive, 3.8 seconds in the acceleration figure officially. And what can we score? We go here to the sport mode. You can see here already the red accentuations. We use this empty parking lot. Let's go. Oh, that was 90. Whoo! Whoo! And you also heard the iconic sounds. So that is then whoo, that you have this sound feedback as well, because there's obviously no sound feedback from the engine there. Wait a minute. If you ask yourself now, is that possible even quicker? Yes, it is. If I hold the boost pedal while rolling already, that is possible. Or if I do now standstill and launch control, left pedal here with my left foot, right pedal with my right foot. With the launch control and the boost function, you can get a little bit more torque even out of this vehicle. Let's try and see the difference. Michel? Oh, Michel bailed now. Obviously, that was too much for him. No, to be honest, he's filming it from the outside for a reel. Anyway, let's go. Oh, that was more than 100 already. Whew! Wow, I mean, super quick in both cases, definitely. Here, just a little notch. An interesting thing is, you don't get more horsepower, but just a little bit more torque out of the boost function, or then here the launch control, here boost function. Then for 10 seconds, I have this extra boost always available. Yeah. Again, launch control only when stationary, boost then also while rolling already. Whew. Wow. Was there any difference? We have to check the time codes, but it also might vary then depending on where you are exactly. And then we continue driving uphill here. Wow, that's really a lot of artificial sound. However, you can also turn that off. I can also show that to you very soon, no problem. Here, one more time, uphill. It doesn't even feel like going uphill because you have so much power here. Wow. Amazing. Then, hammering the turning indicator. That's always a lot of fun. Let's just do it one more time. Ah, that sounds beautiful. And you can also accelerate out of the corner here very well. Look at how calm the steering remains. So you accelerate very hard, but you remain in control all the time. That's really cool. Then the steering feel, let's see, here in the sport mode. Reactions also from the low degree angle actually, and also how it gets to the outside. Yeah, it feels actually quite cool. Let's see the difference in the driving modes. Yeah, switching the driving modes is actually not that easy to do, I feel. Always have to go this and then that one.
So here, normal personal driving mode. Yeah, it's a little bit softer then. Let's go back. My mode's in sport again. Yeah, then I have a little bit more feedback then. So overall, quite happy with that.
Did you also
Here,
hear the side bolsters?
side motors. With
the sports mode.
So
Did you also
yeah,
hear
good
that?
remark from Michelle. Yeah, in the personal mode gets a little bit wider, and then in the sport mode, yeah, they close a little bit in. That's actually a nice feature. Yeah, it's pretty cool actually. Nice. So slalom-wise, stays really upright. Here we have the adaptive M suspension. That means dampers are adaptive, and there's also the anti-tilt control in the rear. And since this is the i5, we also have the rear axle air suspension. So yeah, suspension-wise is not a very easy logic here. There are so many different choices, so that's why I also went in depth to explain all of that. And we also have the 21-inch wheels here mounted, so the biggest ones that are available. So far the road is quite even and nice and so on. But let's also find out about the bumps and so on, if it gets really uncomfortable or something. But so far, he's actually quite nice. And the car feels lighter and sportier than the size or the weight might suggest. That's, of course, always something they want to achieve. These red traffic lights they probably only put here in Portugal that you can do another sprint. Yeah. The truth is, they turn red when you're driving too fast. I want to show you here my modes. When we're just in the personal mode and then accelerate, you feel it's just a little bit then, So when you're in sport mode, it's more enhanced, and also when you hit the throttle a little bit harder, then it is even more enhanced. To turn that off, actually, do stuff like this while driving is always a little bit, I don't know. Then you have to search for that. You are in the vehicle apps, and it's driving settings, and then here iconic sounds off here. By that, and even when I then go into the sport mode, I would then accelerate. You see, there's just nothing. And if you prefer this or that, it's really a matter of personal preference. So tell me, would you actually like it completely silent, or would you actually prefer to have these iconic sounds on? There we go. And especially in sports mode. I mean, when you don't hammer it that hard, then it's quite okay. So you can live with that in everyday driving life. No problem at all. So how does it feel from the previous generation 5 Series? Although this one here is the electric one and the battery, and there wasn't a full electric one in the previous generation, they managed actually by that suspension setup and all the fine tunings that it does not feel heavier. So that is to me one of the key findings. And you might remember our i7 versus 7 Series review where we compared the petrol and the electric one, and BMW really manages that their vehicles, when they're in the electric version or the combustion engine versions, more or less feel the same. There is indeed not much difference in driving fun, agility and so on. And that's, I think, a very, very good achievement. Remember with Mercedes, comparing that, E-Class versus EQE, they used a completely different platform. Yes, they also share parts, but there they really split their electric thing and their combustion engine thing, whereas BMW has this approach here to react a little bit quicker to the changing demand, that they put everything on one platform. So then again, the wind efficiency here is not the best, especially if you go for one here in the M Sport. So the CD value indeed varies a lot according to the package or the version you have on the exterior here with the 5 Series. So that might be also some tricky thing. If you want to have it more efficient while driving, do not go for the M Sport Pack. The non-M Sport Pack versions, the base versions, will be more aerodynamic. Very important to know for that. We will later on also drive the rear-wheel drive pure version. Then you can also, compare the acceleration and so on. Of course, here you can use the power at any time, but you don't have to, actually, if you don't want to. The overall driving feeling here is very calm and collected. It is that typical business sedan we know from BMW. And if you compare it now to the 7 Series, for example, how can you really compare that as for the driving feeling? It is actually kind of similar. The 7 Series feels bigger, feels heavier. Here, the seats already deliver superb comfort. Maybe the 7 Series seats are a little bit more plush as for the so-called Einsitzhöhe, as I said. But here you pay so much less money, although it's not a cheap vehicle at all, but you already get some kind of 7 Series feeling. So I feel that the difference between 5 and 7 Series has also become now a little bit closer with this generation. At the same time, you have somewhat the agility of the 3 Series. Also, like with the Mercedes E-Class, I feel that E-Class and 5 Series in their model lineup overall are somewhat the sweet spot. That becomes obvious, especially while driving these ones here. Then let's here test always some assistance systems on the countryside road. I have set the active cruise control. So this is primarily meant to do on the motorway. We'll also give you a special insight on that as for the automatic lane change and this autonomous feature. But here when you set it like on a normal tone, even here on the countryside road, where it's not like the specialty usually meant for the motorway driving, it follows the lane very well. It keeps the car centered even if you don't steer it yourself. So the elaboration of the assistance system is really on a high level already. Noise insulation wise, it's also super silent in here. Later again with a little bit higher speed, but here at lower speeds you hardly hear anything from the outside environment. It really gives you a very, very calm feeling, together with the superb comfort here of the Veganza seats. And even if you wouldn't have seat cooling, they would remain quite cool. But here I can, for example, set like level 1 of seat cooling by that. This is, by the way, also an advantage if you compare it to the 7 Series. The 7 Series actually does not offer seat ventilation together with the perforated Veganza seats. Strange decision, definitely, but you have it here with the 5 Series. So, yeah, I mean, even going long mileage here, I can very well imagine that. Great, now we've found a destroyed road that is about to be redone. Therefore, it's really bumpy and so on. But remember, 21-inch wheels, and usually these large wheels mean no comfort at all, So I always say like go for smaller wheels, but here, although it's a destroyed road, it feels like nothing. So I'm really impressed by this suspension. I mean, it's not a full air suspension, even here in the electric one or the plug-in hybrid and so on. It is just the rear axle air suspension, but you don't feel that. It is still a very comfortable ride. So the adaptive dampers here by BMW have always been very good. They have been so good that usually you do not miss an air suspension. So even if you would have a combustion engine version where you have no rear axle air suspension and so on, they would do absolutely fine. Of course, base suspension would also be interesting in the test later on. Usually these test vehicles here are very, very high spec. But here with the adaptive suspension, not only does it fulfill sporty purposes, you also consider how it's not getting super loud, although there was this construction work here. So sporty side definitely did deliver, but also here on the comfort side, yeah, and if you want it even softer, then you would indeed go with a little smaller wheels. 21-inch wheels also have the disadvantage that they sometimes get easily scratched and so on, So I would maybe like 20 as a maximum compromise or something, but yeah, because 21 is definitely super, super large. More features here, for example, augmented reality feature. I have here the camera view and also an arrow then. Right here when I have the car internal GPS set, so there's this displayed arrow that they have to turn around, and here we can also experience the rear axle steering. So although the car is long, has a long wheelbase and so on, rear axle steering makes it really possible to have narrow turning circles. That's actually pretty cool. And you also feel that the rear comes a little bit around, so to speak, so that these guys pass. There we go. And also when you accelerate out, for example, you feel, it doesn't feel too artificial in this case because they don't have the widest degree angle. And there's always the discussion, when you have a wider angle, it feels a little bit more artificial. Then again, you can reduce the turning circle more. So they didn't want to exaggerate it in a way. But still, it's a very cool feature to have. At low speeds, you feel it. When you drive a little bit faster, it moves in the parallel direction anyway. So then you wouldn't have this effect. You have more like more stability than in this case. But definitely very cool feature to have it, to make life a little bit easier, especially when parking in and out and so on. And yeah, it doesn't take anything away from the fun while driving. Noise insulation when being here on the motorway, around 120 kilometers an hour, so like 70 miles an hour, it's really good. Here the tarmac is a little bit rougher, here a little bit more tire noise. The one we were on before was a little bit less, will change soon again. But the overall, wind noise and so on is really low. Feels super comfortable. This vehicle here, I switched the vehicle now just to test some more variety, is by the way equipped with these sport seats. They are also good, but definitely I feel it now, especially on long motorway journeys, rather take the comfort seats. They just bring you that extra amount of comfort. These ones here are a little bit stiffer, so the comfort seats a little bit softer than in the dampening, so they overall just give you more comfort. And especially since you have this electric feature where in the sport mode, for example, they get a little bit closer, it's also not a problem that they in general have a little bit less side support than the ones I'm sitting on here. So my choice would be the comfort seats, and then probably in the bright Veganza then. First consumption test, we ended up with about 19 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. That's 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour. So that would mean a real-world concise range of 430 kilometers or 270 miles. And we're also testing the assistance systems, and there's big news coming up right now. First of all, here the adaptive cruise control and the active lane keeping assist, told you about that. But now it's also possible to get an extra package for the Plus package. And in front of us is also a vehicle. And first of all, I can take my hands off, and I can also look into the mirror, look to the left to initiate a lane changing actually automatically. Let's try it again here. There we go. So I'm looking into the side mirror and the car is automatically changing the lane. I did not do anything with my hands. I just looked into the mirror. What is not possible is that I just look into the mirror right now and then the car is changing the lane. That doesn't work that way. So the car first has to give me the offer that situation is ready to do that. You might ask yourself, why would that be necessary in a way here overall? I mean, it is a little bit more relaxed just to keep your hands down, and it is not meant that you take out your smartphone or something and start texting or whatever. So because it's still level 2, that means you are still responsible. So when I have an accident, it's my responsibility. Difference to the level 3 autonomous driving that Mercedes, for example, is offering. There the car isn't responsible. However, that one is restricted to 60 kilometers an hour, like 30 miles an hour. Here, however, this one works until 130 kilometers an hour or 80 miles an hour. And that's, of course, a better usage because I can also do it here at higher speeds here on the motorway. It will be allowed so far in the US, in Canada, and also in Germany. In Germany, they also got a special allowance for that. That is also something very new because so far it is not allowed at all. Here now you can see a car changes into our lane. The vehicle is doing that very well, and yeah, I'm really impressed how smooth the whole system is working. So there are no hectic movements. Everything goes via the flow, and sometimes, you need to get used to these systems, or you may be like, I don't really trust in the vehicle or so. But because everything is so smooth and controlled, you really have full trust in the vehicle, and don't think, oh my god, what's going on? No, it's actually kind of relaxing, really. So the ambulancia is not moving over. It is kind of weird, The last time I've driven. Check traffic to switch so that I can check it. So I go over. Yeah, there we go. So the last time I've driven in such autonomous way, and it was at that point legal in Germany, actually was with the Tesla Model S, and that was 10 years ago. Then they realized that wasn't really up to, they couldn't really do that in all situations. So that was disallowed then. But now we are back here. Autonomous driving is still a long way ahead, definitely, to go fully autonomous, and also that the car is doing that all on its own. But here, this is definitely one of the next steps, and it works here at reasonable speeds, So yeah, definitely more relaxing to keep my hands down, and maybe a little bit easier than when you're talking to someone, maybe to the camera, for example. So now someone is overtaking us. We also have a blind spot monitor, by the way. For my information, definitely not maybe necessarily for the car yet. Yeah, but once again, looking here, I can't do the change, and when the next car would be in front of us, we need to overtake. Then again, I can do the next overtaking action. So overall, I think the system works very, very well. So you might wonder, why is this actually allowed, and how do they keep track of the driver? Because, I'm not supposed to take my smartphone and so on. I'm actually being tracked by the vehicle, and this works by analyzing my head and my eyes. And when the car, for example, detects that I'm really super distracted, I mean, we can try it out, right? Maybe I do I just pretend to, use my smartphone. There we go. Driver distraction detected, stay attentive. So then, there we go. Oh, sorry, I'm still here. So you see, that works really, really quickly. And we can do another test actually. So now I'm closing one of my eyes. I'm still looking. And there's this infrared sensor. And it even works with sunglasses actually. I can also show that very soon. But first of all here, one eye closed is okay. But now I'm doing something that's not allowed. I just do it for you. I trust the vehicle, just with my eyes closed. Don't do this, don't try it at home. Just want to check that. There we go. So the car is saying first warning. And if I would then continue that, then it would actually at some time abort and also hit the brake automatically and so on and so on. And yeah, what about this could be like a use case, where I can, for the first time, then also change my glasses quickly like this. I don't need any help. So now sunglasses. See, there's no difference. Only if I would close my eyes behind my sunglasses, then again, it would be a problem. So, very interesting how these systems are working technologically. But you see that they are really working very flawlessly. Now the eDrive 40 rear-wheel drive only. Go also to the sport mode, and let's see about this acceleration here. Let's go. That's 100. That also went really quick, so official figure is 6 seconds. We started a little bit in the corner, but I did that also on purpose to see how the car reacts, and that was also really smooth, so full control over the steering, and of course rear-wheel drive only then in this case, really good traction and so on. Actually pretty cool, and more than enough really. The other one, the all-wheel drive version, is really great in the performance. This one here is already quick. Definitely would be enough for me. There is also one advantage to it, and that is when you accelerate out of the corners. Yes, it might not be that performing on paper, like numbers-wise, seconds-wise. But then again, when you accelerate out of corners, you always have rear-wheel drive only. Yes, the all-wheel drive version is also rear-wheel biased. Still, when you have a rear-wheel drive only vehicle, you always get out of the corners a little bit better because, it just helps to push the car out of it, So that's something that just comes natural by physics, basically. And I really like this rear-wheel drive only feeling. So that could be an argument to say hey, I don't spend so much money, go for the all-wheel drive version, and the 6 seconds here is just enough for me, and I'm fine with that. Top speed is different. Here, 180 kilometers an hour, so 180 kilometers an hour or 112 miles per hour, whereas the other one, the M60, would go 230 kilometers an hour. So that is 135 miles per hour, right? I think. You can argue about that. If you really need that, might be a German thing only. Other markets probably won't care so much. About recuperation, by the way. So either you have the adaptive recuperation set, and then it's a little bit like cruise control. If there's no one in front of me, I'm rolling, and when there's someone in front of me, then it's also reducing the speed. You mainly do the recuperation if you need it stronger than via the brake pedal, and they use all of the recuperation that's possible, and if there's then even more braking needed, then the rear brakes are being applied. Or you can hit here the shifting lever, then you go to the B mode, and then when you lift your foot off the throttle, then here strong regenerative braking immediately, and this is then a one pedal driving feeling. But the BMW philosophy is more to keep it with this adaptive recuperation actually. Suspension wise, here in this case we do not have the anti-tilt control at the rear axle. Is that a problem? I mean, in normal driving you don't realize it that much. You would realize it more actually when you're really like, always like quick corner driving really fast, then it might make a difference. But it's not that it would be a great game changer or something. Another difference we feel here, of course, is the steering wheel, which is the vegan one, completely animal free. It has this different look. Also by driving it gives you a little bit more futuristic look, less classic look. So the traditional look of the M Sport steering wheel reminds you more of existing models and so on. You don't have to get used to something else. Here with the open spoke design, it's also actually quite cool while driving. I even have the feeling that it gives you like a little bit better visibility. If that's a factor, not blocking your view that much, but maybe just very 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 small level. It's really more about the feeling. Here I feel more, hey, I'm in a more modern car. The other one's like, hey, I'm more in this interesting traditional sporty vehicle. From the feeling, from the surface material, I feel that this one even feels softer. So I like the feeling even better. Visually wise, I think I'm not quite sure. First of all, I thought that the M steering wheel is more beautiful to me visually, but now I feel like actually it fits to the vehicle, especially if that's here the i5. You know what I mean? But I think you'll be happy with both stylings, definitely. As for the form itself, it doesn't make such a big difference, because when you have your hands correctly set here at the sides of the steering wheel, then the difference in the steering feeling is not that different. And do you feel that this vehicle here, the rear-wheel drive only version, eDrive 40, is lighter? Maybe a little bit. But I think that's not the crucial thing, that you really feel that it's lighter. The crucial thing is that you feel it's rear-wheel drive only. Yes, it's a little bit slower, but in a way, it kind of also feels more natural and agile by that. But what will be even more interesting is, what I said initially, it is this 175 kilograms lighter, and also 2 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers, or like a quarter of a mile per kilowatt hour better in the official consumption figure. And that has to do, first of all, with less weight, of course, and then also better aerodynamics. Because remember, that's a very interesting point here, 0.25 for the M60 with the M Sportback. And if we would have this one here as the very base version, even without the M Sportback, it could score 0.23, and that is also a crucial difference. So let's see what we can score then here as for the concise consumption. So far, you might remember, just to remember again, around 19 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers. So it was a little bit more than 3 miles per kilowatt hour. Now this is super interesting. Remember, with the i5 M60, our consumption was like 19 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers, so a little bit more than 3 miles per kilowatt hour. It was a little bit worse when we had more motorway share. Now actually went to the eDrive 40 pure rear-wheel drive, and we scored some 17 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers. That's 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour. So clearly better. So 2.5 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers better. So that's like 3/4 of a mile per kilowatt hour better. That means with the all-wheel drive version, a realistic range of 430 kilometers or 250, 270 miles. And here with the rear-wheel drive only version, the eDrive 40, we are at 480 kilometers of realistic range. That's about 300 miles. And that means when you go this eDrive 40, you gain about 50 kilometers or 30 miles of range. That means, and if you also think about the everyday usage and so on, and that the rear drive only version is also a lot of fun and way less expensive, if you go for the electric 5 Series, definitely this one here, the eDrive 40, is way to go. So as for styling, I'm definitely here with the base look and not with the M Sport. It also has something definitely here, but I prefer it a little bit less sinister, but a little bit more classy. I think it fits the vehicle a little bit better. Interior, especially the best comfort here with the seats. I think also best in segment if you go with the comfort seats. So also the setup we had with this vehicle here, the Veganza comfort seats. And then also here the vegan steering wheel is also available. They are also pushing forward in that respect. That is also really, you can just applaud them for them actually. Then as for driving, it is so engaging still. And even the rear drive version, more power than you ever need basically already. Of course the overdrive version is really the performance car. But I think especially if you look at the efficiency factor, if you go for the i5, then this eDrive 40 is way to go because it just gives you this extra mileage, this extra range you might need. In comparison to the Mercedes E-Class or the Mercedes EQE, I feel especially the E-Class has this typical E-Class floaty ride, whereas the 5 Series more goes into the engaging ride. This is like the main difference. Other than that, they are actually in the segment very similar, but then again, exterior, interior, way different. But not in a way of that one is super much better than the other one, more in a way of personal preference a lot actually. The biggest difference indeed is that the BMW here, no matter if combustion engine, plug-in, the mix between all, then the i5 is always on the same platform, whereas the Mercedes split in Mercedes E-Class and the EQE, they are also a little bit different to each other once again. For this review I not only handpicked my clothes, but even the whole background for you, that everything fits together with the cyan beige color of this Audi A6 e-tron. Audi's new approach to the large EV segment, the low one, not SUV, sedan or an Avant. And does it work? How good is it? We will also take a look at the sporty model, the S6 for you, and we're going to talk about how does the A6 and the S6 rate to the competitors like the BMW i5, which is also available as a touring, or the Mercedes EQE, or even internally from the VAG Corporation, the VW ID.7. We're going to find out here with Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. With a large mask here all the way closed, because in the top there's not so much cooling needed then. Two-dimensional Audi rings, and they're also grayed out a little bit in here. The headlamps, in the top part you have the daytime running light. There are different signatures you can handpick actually available, and also the matrix LED light at this special indicator effect. Yeah, and the main headlamp unit here in the lower part, this is split, and this has already received some criticism. I've saw in the comments with the static reveal. The original concept there looked a little bit cooler, or what's your take on that? The LED structure is, by the way, a base, mid-trim, and then the highest trim with all the matrix LED features and so on. Then the length here is 4.93 meters or 194 inches. So yeah, basically a full-size sedan, sportback, Avant, depending on the building style. So this is the standard building style that is also only available on the Northern American market. Here the sportback, I would call it that way because they call it that way, and it's also a liftback opening, soon more to that. And as an alternative on the European markets, for example, and also in some Asian markets, you can also get the Avant, the estate form. Wheels from 19 to 21 inch. These are the biggest 21 inch. Massive styling here, of course. And yeah, the best CD value of 0.21 for the Sportback. You can then, of course, only achieve if you have the according spec with, the best efficiency features. And one of them is also here, the digital mirrors. So a new feature is that when I close the vehicle, they now automatically fold in and out, so it's a nice feature to protect them, for example. And of course this is more aerodynamic than a classic mirror. However, me personally, I'm a fan of classic mirrors, and they are still available. This is only an option, so you don't have to go for it. What about the front? If you have the key in your pocket, then we can also use this sliding function here. There we go. So, and there's the sensor. Then you have to unlock it manually here.
Then you have access to the front. There we go. Oh yeah, it can easily house a charging cable or whatsoever. We did have that with the Porsche Macan, by the way, and there, for example, it was a problem in rain that the sensor didn't react. Not sure if it's the same here. Maybe here the rain falls down a little bit easier than with the Macan, so we also have to test it in rain, then maybe at the later stage. But I think it's a nice idea. Towards the rear, here the Sportback, you see this falling roofline, but I think the Avant also looks nice, definitely. And then light strip goes all the way through. Here we've already discovered maybe here the approaching light, or this sensor that is saying like, hey, you're too close to the vehicle, there it goes again. So this communication with the outside world with light technology. You also have the effect when you hit the turning indicators. Again, they look pretty cool. But they also add a feature, emergency triangle, as a special warning then when the hazard lights are actually on. Yeah, why not? And you can also get illuminated Audi rings at the rear in red. They look really striking, don't they? Tell me in the comments. Then the black contrast here in the lower part, diffuser style. And we of course have to talk about the technology. So you have two different battery sizes. The entry-level battery has net capacity of 76 kilowatt hours net. The bigger one, which is also equipped with this one here, 95 kilowatt hours net. And the concise range, we'll do some driving here today. It will be quite efficient as this sedan form, of course, especially in the Sportback. But we want to find out ourselves without, stating all the official range figures. So more to the range than later on. Different acceleration figures. Note that all acceleration figures you read or hear are always tuned with the launch control. Without launch control, it's a little bit slower, but with the launch control, maximum acceleration, it starts at around 6 seconds to 1 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour. Then this one here, rear-wheel drive, big battery, is at 5.4 seconds. The overdrive version with a little bit more power tune is 4.5 seconds. And the S model, the S6, also available, is at 3.9 seconds. Gotta say though that the S model, just from the exterior, is not too different to the normal model, I have to say. That's a trend we recently see with more and more Audi models, definitely. Then about recharging, first of all, what's really interesting, we have automatic charging flaps on both sides. So we start here on the driver's side, and that will also be the case for the UK models. And here on this side, you have the AC and DC charging. There we go. Yeah, this charging flap here, that way here, you can give it a small push. It takes some time, definitely. So, it's funny, and I have to say, maybe a little bit over-engineered, isn't it? And yeah, maybe in winter time, I don't know. We gotta test it maybe in Sweden again at -20 or something at the polar circle. And here, what's pretty cool, standard that you have on both sides charging possibility, and on the passenger side, then here, at least for this model, and here also the AC charging. As I said, I asked them explicitly for that. So when you have a right-hand drive model, the steering wheel will be on the right side, but the AC will still be on this side and the DC on that side. And it always depends more on the country, like what makes more sense. And charging is really quick. They profit from the 800-volt architecture, which is also for the Porsche Macan or the Audi Q6 e-tron or the Porsche Taycan. Here, 21 minutes state of charge, 10 to 80%. That is really, really good for both batteries. And the peak here for the big battery is 270 kilowatt, and the peak for the small battery, 225 kilowatt. And it can also recuperate a lot actually just by braking as well. That would be 220 kilowatt peak. And very important to know, what about the outgoing Audi A6? You maybe remember that one here, the combustion engine model. This one here now, the all-new electric one. Well, the new logic is that all the even numbers, Audi A6, Audi A4, Audi A8 and so on, all the even numbers now that come new to the market are the electric versions, and the odd numbers, like Audi A3, Audi A5, Audi A7, these are the combustion engine models plus plug-in hybrid and so on. So the logic here then is that in this segment here, the A6 is the electric one now, and the A7 then is the ICE, and that one will also basically replace multiple models at the same time. So the all-new Audi A7 is replacing the combustion engine A6 and the A7
whereas this one here, the new electric one. So a little bit of rearranging the whole naming portfolio. Our S6 here for today, by the way, which we will drive later. This one here is Malpelo Blue, this beautiful color. And in this case here, we don't have a black package on, so the Audi rings are here bright, which I think is way more visible. And here also these contrasting mirror caps, typical for the S models, so I would always get this one without a black package. Now we're getting to the interior, but quick info about the suspension: base steel suspension or optional adaptive air suspension. We have it also equipped with this vehicle. Would be standard for the S model. Then door closing sound. Here, like the handles are like integrated and you don't have a physical feedback. This is with soft close, and when I really slam it, it sounds nice. Rear as well. Yeah, so the great door closing sound, and here once again in detail with the soft close, because when you have a soft close, of course, you can also closing me softly. There we go. And this is the key fob, matte, light, good quality, like that. Then there's a lot of Sahara sand here around. Then inside of the doors, top part is structured but still quite hard actually. Then this insert here, okay, that looks a little bit cheap, honestly. In this case, we have a fabric insert. There are different stylings available. Classic window levers. They have nice clicking sound, optional Bang & Olufsen sound system. Then hashtag capacitive BS, because this whole thing is one button and then you control different regions. But here in this spec, these two are basically dead because you control the digital mirrors here anyway. And you can hear like control a little bit like where. Oh, you can even do that. Interesting, right? So let me just show that to you. Here. There we go. And you can adjust them a little bit. And they are now placed higher and more inward. With the original e-tron models, it was like here, which was really bad. Now it's better visible. Yeah, but as I said, I'm more the fan of classic mirrors. However, we have entry sill badge here, because this is the S line as well. Then we have also the steering wheel, flat bottom, stitching on the inside, and at the moment here everything is shut off. I want to show you how it looks like. Black field here, all blacked out on the screen, and soon I'll turn it on and then you can see the difference. Then seats, you have normal seats and sport seats from the form. This also the sport seat has like a rider shoulder accentuation, then would be an additional sport seat available as well. And this then here, the fabric. So you cannot get it on every market. This is, for example, available in Germany. On the US and UK market, so far not. And they're actually quite cool. So I like the fabric surface. Maybe they could be like a little bit softer in the cushion overall, but they have also good ergonomics. In the UK and US market, the focus will be on the seats that have mainly leatherette and some small parts of animal leather on the outside here and maybe on top. So we have to really go into the details there. But overall ergonomics are good, but I think it would be better if they offer like a perforated leatherette, the complete seat, like BMW does. It's a more consistent approach than this is like really a little bit complicated also for the customer. Then here, headroom with 189, 6 for 2. Still some headroom left, and the steering wheel here is actually, you feel a little bit like in the all-new Audi A5, I have to say. It has the same dashboard and so on, and also from the seating position, but maybe once again a little bit higher because of that battery skateboard than in the lower button. An animal-free steering wheel is also available, by the way, but you have to select it. Now taking a look at the cockpit. Here, this screen unit here, 2 different monitors on that one, and then optional the passenger screen. If you would not have that base version, it would be here, this high gloss black, the whole area. This then from the mid technology pack. Yeah, but I'm not a fan of passenger screens, are you? But yeah, I mean, that's just up to you, basically. Then with the fabric interior, we also have the fabric detail here, so why not? But as I said, there are different ones available. Also illumination now at the steering wheel, soon more details to that. Large middle console indeed, and here you have still a manual volume jog, for example. In the front, 2 USB-C chargers, they're also illuminated. This is here the ashtray equipment. Interesting. Yeah, it's not broken, it's just like a attachment mechanism there. Okay, and then there is also...
Do not smoke.
Yeah, do not smoke in the car, yes, exactly. And then here here there's like an inductive charging pad. It's really hard to see. It's like on the back side. It's also ventilated, but then you have to put your smartphone in like this. I don't know if that's the best solution.
And your Apple Pay is always.
Yeah, and sometimes
on
sometimes stuff is activated then while putting it in there. The drive select for the driving modes is here. You have to press it then. You can also press it through, so you can press here and switch between the driving modes. You don't have to then select that in the screen. So that's at least something. Then here, switch gear, drive, reverse. Yeah, a lot of high gloss black here. Not a fan. Here, good quality for the adaptive cup holders. They fit different sizes. Then the fabric covering here for the armrest and more space underneath. Actually here, you can even, wow, that's like the first aid kit. So there's actually good space underneath here. So why not? Yeah, and you need that microfiber cloth to clean the high gloss black features and also all the screens and so on. And here now, well, what about the driver perspective? And here we go, steering wheel. Yeah, these Audi rings are now two-dimensional. I mean, they are well built, but the ones that are really like touchable, you can feel them. I think I preferred the ones before. Here now, illuminated is all actually capacitive once again, but at least you have some kind of clicking feedback from that whole button. And then you can also switch through some views here in the instruments. Here, by the way, you see like a power output like that. And then you can also get, of course, a head-up display. And here on this favorite button, you can, for example, set the deactivation of the speed limit warning. Then the main infotainment unit here, yeah, it does reflect a lot. You can even see us in the mirroring here. With your real eyes, it's a little bit better than, you know, on the camera, I have to say. These are the main hotkeys. You always have here on the left side, for example, also the charging menu, so you can set a charging target. And here, yeah, this is then the climate unit. And once again, I wonder, like with the A5, here, this, like the thought behind it is that you rest your hand here and then do it like that. But I'm not sure if I would like to drive like this. This is like you can hold tight while driving. At least here it's not that wide like in the Audi A5. But you are kind of forced to do it like that, because otherwise you have to do it like this, something like that. I don't know. The classic Audi turning knobs would have been better, definitely. And then here you can also access Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, wireless or wired, both is possible. 20 speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system, by the way. Really decent sound, especially if you tune up the bass. I have one or two systems which are maybe my favorite. This is not like my most favorite one, but is doing a good job. This one has also the integrated speakers in the head restraint. So you can hardly hear that. It's rather just when you turn your ear against the head restraint, then you do hear that. Otherwise you don't hear so much from it. It's mainly used, for example, when like the music is running. And then there's like a GPS guidance, like turn right in 200 meters, whatever. Then it's more audible over these speakers. So they use that, you know, for this kind of thing. Not that necessary, honestly. And driving at night looks like this. Here with the ambient lighting, you have this strip going all the way across and a little bit under the screen. And here when you hit the indicators, see it here, it also has this cascading effect on the interior, actually. So that's, yeah, that's interesting. Why not? Also here on the right side. And also something at the inside of the doors. And here these digital mirrors at night. So, yeah, I mean, I don't like the basic concept, but how they look like at night is actually quite okay. Also when you hit the turning indicators, you can once again see it also there. Yeah, I think it's really a question of philosophy. I will talk more about that in the driving part. So this part is left out, that it doesn't irritate you when looking to the front. When you go in park mode, then the ambient light is complete. And here, when you hit the turning indicator, you might ask yourself, what is this white line there? So only when I hit the turning indicator. And the thing is that here, it's the visualization. And then when you have this visualization in the left part, they don't want to limit this area, and so it shows the same image. It's just squeezing the image a little bit here between the white line and the green, and then the white line shows where the image is squeezed and here not. rear seats. First of all, here inside of the doors, this is not too soft in the top part, but structured. And here we also have the fabric inserts if you have these fabric seats. However, all hard pack here in the lower part then again. Then it's really exciting. First of all, ISOFIX here on the outside, and you can open and close that easily. Then you can fold down this here for cup holders, and they're also adaptive and good build quality, what you see and feel here, everything. Then when I'm taking a seat here in the Sportback, headroom with 189/602, it still works for tall adults. It's a little bit different than if you have the glass roof. It gets you a little bit more headroom actually, and then the Avant as well. And then the leg room, yeah, I mean, it fits also for tall adults when the tall adult is driving, but you see the usage of space is not that good. That's the thing. And also how you sit here, look at that, the angle of my legs. I mean, it's okay, but I have had more comfortable positions here. And the reason is also that you have your feet relatively high because of this electric battery then in the lower part. Yeah, of this platform here. So the floor builds high, and that's why the feet are high like this, you know, and that's resulting in this, yeah, not ideal seating position. So considering it's a large vehicle, it should just be more luxurious in the seating position in the rear, I feel. It's not bad or something like that, but it should definitely be better considering the length. This is how it looks like, by the way, when there's no illumination in the rear. It's a big difference, isn't there? Then trunk, 500 liters, both for the Sportback and for the Avant. It's just a liter difference when you fold the seats and then really load it up to the roof, because the only difference is that, yeah, maybe like here a little bit more height in the Avant, but you see it hardly makes any difference. This is as accessible as the Avant trunk, and here you have really massive space. It's really well usable, 1.40 meters in width here, and the normal length is about 1.15 meters or 45 inches, and the height then here maximum level is like 72 centimeters or 28 inches. Kind of funny here in the back part, you can lift this one open, well, some space underneath for that. And then what I find kind of peculiar here, you can unclip these here like a floor mat, and then you could also lift out that whole thing. And yes, this needs a detailed explanation, because I was asking myself really like, what is it for exactly? And that's the reason here. So let's just imagine that I have some, you know, leaves, dirt, whatever. Then you can unlock it here and take the whole thing out. Yeah, this is actually the reason. And then I was thinking, I'm soon going to show you the Estate, the Avant. And that one has like a thick cover on the bottom all the way through. And this one here does not. And the reason is, this is the cheapest solution. This one you can pull back and take it out. And this top part you could also put out if you want, actually. There we go. And well, to fold the seats, we could reach over here, but yeah, it's not the most practical thing. You have to have, I don't know, winding fingers with that, I don't know, like this. Then you can also just put this middle part as a ski hatch, that's possible. Or you can fold as a 2/3, so that's all possible like that. Yeah, you see it raises a little bit then to the interior, but that's nice in the transition still. And there we go, the full length is actually 2 meters or 79 inches. And a quick look at the Avant trunk here. This is then the Estate, and you can see you get a little bit more height right here, but it's not the largest difference. There is one difference here. So this one here automatically raises and goes down again, this cover here. And then you have a more premium solution here for the bottom cover. So it's thick also back there, and you can also put it down a stage like this. Then it's like this Sportback position. Just that it's also fixed right here, so a better solution, I feel. And you can also remotely unlock the seats from here. And then you either have this transition, or if you lift the bottom in the higher position once again, then it is even more going through. Launch control. Stop. Woo! Nice. So that was 0 to 60 kilometers an hour. Very nice. This is here not the most performing model, but rear-wheel drive only, but already
pretty decent in the acceleration actually here. So here is that the 5.4 seconds to 100. So yeah, I think for most cases definitely sufficient. And we have here on our way some nice winding roads where we can test the sportiness of this vehicle and of course all the other driving aspects. And this will be here super crucial since, yeah, especially in the interior there were some things that we criticized, also that you don't have too much space in the rear and stuff like that. But now in driving, you start driving and think like, wow, this is really cool. So here, tight corners, and you have to think about it, it's still a large battery and it's a heavy vehicle, but we sit relatively low, center of gravity is also low, and the vehicle doesn't feel as heavy as it actually is. And this is something they really mastered. After all, it's also half a Porsche, so to speak. You know, they work together on these EV projects here, Audi and Porsche. Same also for the Q6 e-tron and the Porsche Macan. Just that this one here does not have like a exact correspondent at Porsche yet. So it drives here really well. Nice steering input. Here also in the dynamic mode. It's progressive, don't have to steer that much actually. And the car is also extremely silent. The tarmac here is actually quite rough, and we'll soon also drive a little bit quicker on the motorway. Then we can also take a look at these figures there, and also when we're at the higher speed numbers and so on, and how it behaves. But here already you hear nothing from the road, nothing as for wind wasn't here. When cars are coming towards us, you hardly really, I mean, you see the cars, but if you would not see them, you would not hear them passing, you know. So otherwise, you hear like vroom, vroom, but that doesn't happen here. And here, you can really hold it very nicely in the corner, then acceleration out. Ah, that's cool in the dynamic mode. It gives you a little bit of room to play with the rear. That's what I like about the rear-wheel drive version here. It feels actually a little bit sportier than in an all-wheel drive version in the sense of how you get out of the corners. So this one here, Sportback with the rear-wheel drive, I think is really a hot tip for best range and at the same time best fun in the drive. Yes, the all-wheel drive models, and especially the S, of course have better acceleration, they're quicker. But maybe you don't always need that. This one here is definitely quick enough. And as for the driving agility, especially out of the corners, this is really so much fun. Like here, that's really amazing, pretty cool. Let's see if we feel any difference when we are in the normal comfort mode, for example. Yeah, suspension gets a little bit softer because we have the air suspension here, it's adaptive. So yeah, we immediately have a float here, right? Steering also is a little bit lighter, so maybe like for these roads here, it's a little bit better to have more resistance from the dynamic mode. But also in the normal comfort mode, it behaves very well. Yeah, steering wise, definitely prefer the setting in the dynamic mode than here. But still, it doesn't lean at all to the sides or something. Do you feel a difference?
A little bit.
A little bit,
Yeah,
a little bit,
yeah.
Here,
Yeah.
this is like the comfort mode when we go left and right. And now the dynamic mode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Feel
that's
it, yeah.
yeah. So more stiffness from the suspension, also a little bit more resistance from the steering. So definitely for sporty driving, the dynamic mode is more fun. Good setup. And then maybe when we go to the motorway, we can put in the comfort mode again and enjoy, you know, this surplus in comfort and a little bit more this carpet ride. So the air suspension in the dynamic mode, you don't feel it's an air suspension because it's stiffer, but in the comfort mode, you do feel the air suspension, that you have this floating ride. And you have to think about, we have the 21-inch wheels mounted here, so the biggest wheels possible. They take away some comfort, but for that, the suspension really evens that out very well, that we still have great comfort, although we have large wheels. So better comfort and range, of course, if you stick with smaller wheels. Best comfort and best range with 19-inch wheels with the base wheel size, of course. So you always have to think about how you want it to drive, how you want it to look, but what do you want to have as the result in performance and in the range performance and also in the comfort. So you can always vary that a lot with the wheel choices, but yeah, I'm enjoying this super much. It is sporty, at the same time super comfortable, and I can just stress enough that here, Guardia Civil, But yeah, we're always keeping the speed limit here, very important. Now here in the roundabouts, it's also cool. Good brake feeling. So usually the regenerative braking is set to basically nothing or adaptive, that it reacts accordingly to the situation. For example, when there's a car in front of you or something. You're holding tight?
Yeah. There's no,
Ah, good point. Yeah, Leah is pointing out that there are no handles or something like that. So you cannot hold on as a passenger to something. So then she has to push against the door. Yeah, that's really sad. A lot of the manufacturers, they are saving that actually. So some cost saving as for that you don't have really. There are no handles at all from the inside. Yeah, so then Leah has to hold onto the door when I'm doing the driving experiments here. Yeah, back to the recuperation. So usually in the auto mode, so for example, when the car's in front of me, then you have recuperation. Other than that, I use the brake pedal for regenerative braking, or I can use the shifting pedals, and here in different levels, here to a strong one, for example, 2 levels, or I use the switch key here, put it back, and then I'm in the B mode. This is the one pedal driving mode that has the strong recuperation. However, it will always be resetted to the auto mode and when you restart the vehicle again. But at least here, for example, when I'm driving downhill for a longer period of time, it's maybe more convenient to put a regenerative braking mode in than to use the brake pedal. But yeah, you can just decide that on your own. I'm more a fan of using the brake pedal because I'm used to that. Yeah, but then again, people who've been driving like a Tesla for a couple of years, they say, hey, I just want one pedal driving feeling, and that's it. So, but the non-Tesla EV manufacturers usually have the philosophy that the base setup is low regenerative braking and use it with the brake pedal. It's just a different philosophy. What's always the case is that it doesn't change anything from the efficiency, because when you use the brake pedal, first the recuperation is happening and then the real brakes are being applied when you actually need more braking power. And some motorway driving. Yeah, so quick that you get the acceleration again. Really, really nice. And definitely this rear-wheel drive version, is enough acceleration, I would say. Let's go to the balance setting maybe. Balance is now the new normal mode, to have something, a good compromise between comfort and sportiness. And we can also test the assistance systems, setting here the cruise control. And they don't have like the newest, tech in the way of, we go maybe something level 3, or we offer a level 2 system like BMW, where you can drive at higher speeds without like taking hands off the steering wheel. Maybe look through the mirrors to make an automatic lane change. No, like the most sophisticated tech is not in there, but all the standard level 2 systems are trimmed to a very, very good perfection actually. So here's, by the way, also a blind spot monitor, like an additional yellow sign here. And here, look at that, also when the road is slightly bent, there's corrections from the steering are really, really finely tuned, so very smooth, so very, very well done. So overall happy with these systems. And when we talk about systems and blind spot monitor, we got to talk about the side mirrors there and also the digital mirrors. So the normal side mirrors, I think, is good when you have in combination with the blind spot monitor. Here with these digital mirrors, you got a lot of pros, first of all. And one pro is you have no blind spot. Then it's more aerodynamic and they also perform good at night. On the negative side is, on the negative side is that like the positioning here might be a little bit better even for the normal mirrors, but they are in this generation, they are placed definitely better in this position. Yes, that's okay. But the more crucial point to me is the focus. So when I'm looking straight here, I have wide focus. And also when I'm in the normal, looking to the normal mirrors, yes, they're also like the same distance almost. But the thing is that because you're looking in the mirror image, this is still wide focus and you don't have to change, and that's quick. And you also have the impression of a 3-dimensional image of your surrounding with the normal mirror. Here with the monitor, it's 2-dimensional and the focus is close. So it takes half a second when you look straight, wide focus, then you look here, it's close, And the older you get, the longer it takes to change the focus. That's just a natural thing. So it is not as quick for the information to your brain as when you look into normal mirrors. It's just that like that, period. So yes, as I said, it has pros and cons, but the change in focus is to me the main reason why this is less safe than a normal mirror in combination with the blind spot monitor. So I would always take normal mirrors with the blind spot monitor in combination. That's, I think, the best solution overall if you consider like the capabilities of the human brain and also the human eye. So yeah, that's my take to that. Would be looking to your feedback on that one, of course. You can get used to it, no doubt about that. But overall, I think this change in focus is the like the main argument, and also bifocal glasses. So if you have them, if you need them, they can also cause problems when you have them, and the same goes also for the digital normal back mirrors and so on. Yeah, but definitely a topic that can be discussed. Interesting, like the solution, how they did it is perfect for that solution. That's great, but still a fan of the normal mirrors for the explained reasons. And let's talk about the competitors and also how it compares here in driving. So I've been wondering that an ID7 could also be a competitor indeed. For example, the small battery here of the A6 e-tron and the ID7 in the high spec, they are approximately the same battery, and then also comparable prices. The Audi, of course, more expensive than when you put extras in it. The thing is, the ID7 has a better interior concept, way more space, especially in the rear for the passengers there and for the trunk. So the ID7 is the better usable car. The difference from the ID7 to the A6 e-tron, where the A6 e-tron can score, is indeed the driving. This one here drives and feels sportier. It feels more sophisticated in the driving. It's also a little bit more silent and so on. There you feel the difference then, you know, to the like premium brand to non-premium. But from a family perspective of how you can use the vehicle, actually in that case you have to take the ID7, honestly. If the whole, like, if you don't have 2 or 3 kids or something and the space is not too important for you, you really want to focus on the driving, then you would prefer the Audi A6 e-tron if you think about this comparison. Then of course Mercedes EQE. The thing is there that the interior concept is basically even worse than this one here, and also the seating is less comfortable. Then you also have the separate trunk in the rear, so this one here is better usable than the Mercedes EQE. And honestly, this one here, not sure if you agree to me or not, but I think that this one here looks way better than the Mercedes EQE. The BMW i5 has, together with the ID7, the best seating, by the way. ID7 seats and BMW i5 seats are really great. ID7 best with the microfiber seats. The i5 best with the comfort seats package in the Veganza high-grade leatherette trim. Also with active cooling and so on. So they did it best in that respect. The i7 also drives very well. There the thing is that battery-wise, it's in between. So small battery of this one, then the i5 battery at like 81 kilowatt hours, and then the big battery of this one. So with the big battery in the Audi A6 e-tron, you can go even further than with the BMW i5. If you then think about comparing it to the smaller battery, then they're like almost equal, or the i5 is a little bit better. So this is about the battery choice. And of course, if you compare this one here to basically all of the rest of the competitors, this one here charges the quickest. So in DC charging, this one here is definitely the quickest. As for the pure driving aspect, I think this one is among those which are best in driving, yes. The i5 also drives very well, but if you just focus purely on the driving aspect, I think that this one could actually be the best. Just, when you consider the driving, how smooth it is, how sporty it feels, how much fun it is in driving, how light it feels, although it is not light. Also the noise insulation. So I feel this is my favorite here in driving. then probably the i5. Yeah, but then of course you also have to consider the other aspects like the usability of the vehicle and some of the solutions on the interior and so on. Yeah, and then of course it's also personal preference and also the concise leasing rates you get with each of these vehicles. But yeah, to give you like a little closer insight of all my experience with those different vehicles here. But yeah, I can just stress again, driving it here, so nice, so smooth. What do you think?
Yep.
Leah agrees. So are you getting sick as a passenger in winding corners or no?
I'm
That's
fine, yeah.
always a good
Yeah.
sign definitely as well. Now the S6, launch control. That one triggered the Leah meter. Ah, nice. Yeah, so
That's the difference. Oh my god.
yeah, so I mean the difference in numbers is only 5.4 versus 3.9 seconds, and here in this case to 100, but here to 60, it's obviously even more crucial. So you have an additional motor in the front then, and more power overall. Yeah, definitely way more serious punch. Whew. And you also feel we are starting here in the dynamic mode, and in the dynamic mode especially you can feel that the suspension setup is stiffer. Here we also have the optional air suspension. Well, in this case then for the S it's standard, so otherwise optional, but in the S model it's standard. And here then in the dynamic mode it is noticeably stiffer, and the overall setup is also stiffer no matter in which mode you are in. And as long as the road is even and nice, it's cool, but you definitely also lose some comfort with that. So you just have to know that and then decide. Also a lot of fun, and of course now these winding corners are more fun to drive in the S model. Really just like finally stepping on the throttle and you are like, that goes so quickly here. So this is definitely a performance car now here in that S spec. Yeah, and you just feel it's a little bit more aggressive in all different respects. So the exterior is not really that different at all from the differentiation, but here in the driving feeling you notice these differences. I mean, still it's not like it would be a completely different vehicle or something. It still feels similar, especially in driving, but you feel these subtle differences. And here, when I'm going to the comfort mode, for example, then
The sound is.
yeah, that was like this, not this, like this electric emulation. In the comfort mode, I would say, yeah, the question is it in the comfort mode as sporty as the sport mode or dynamic mode in the normal vehicle? No, I would rather say it's like comfort mode of the normal one, then comfort mode of this one, then dynamic mode of the normal one, and then dynamic mode of this one, like from comfort to sportiness. Because here also the steering is a little bit softer again, and the suspension is more forgiving. And in this comfort mode, you can also very well drive this one here as a daily driver, no doubt about that. It's not that you have like a large compromise. And then you can also choose the wheels. Here in the S model, 20-inch would be standard. You could also stick with these, and then you once again have a more comfortable setup. But both are really a lot of fun in driving. Of course, it will be a huge price difference, and the all-wheel drive model will also be a little bit less efficient, also when you're like driving long term and so on. So yeah, you can really fine-tune that if you want the most range-oriented model and best comfort, or if you want something sportier. Yeah, it's so much fun. I rarely had so much fun in driving a vehicle that is so large and so heavy. That is to me the special thing about it. Yeah, here also in dynamic mode, we can go some left and right. So precise again, nice and good feelings. It feels so balanced. That's what it does. So once again, also here in the S model, because we've been driving also like an EQE 53 or like a BMW i5 M60. It's an M60, yeah. I think it was an M60. Yeah, the numbers are constantly changing there as well. Also here in these performance models, I think they master the compromise of sportiness and comfort very, very well. So yeah, it's a tough choice if I would go for the normal one or the S model. Really depends on what you want to get out from your vehicle. Pricing starts with a small battery, 63,000 euros in Germany, for example. Then when we go with a bigger battery, it's already at 76,000 euros or 71,000 pounds in the UK. However, if you then spec that vehicle, put a lot of things in, as it stands here right now, it's already above 90,000 euros. And an S6, for example, then around 100, and of course a little bit plus then with some extras and so on. What about the concise consumption and range? So what we did firsthand was to do like a long loop. Not too high speeds, because here on the island of Tenerife, very beautiful place, you cannot drive too fast, but you have a lot of topography changes. But this car is really good in recuperation, and that meant that even when we went uphill and used more energy, going downhill, we got so much energy back in again that we had a very ideal consumption, also here with very mild temperatures of about 15 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers, so like 4 miles per kilowatt hour. That's of course like most ideal ever, and that means that here with the big battery it could go over 600 kilometers or like 400 miles. With the small battery then 500 kilometers or 300 miles approximately. However, if you go motorway, higher speed like 120, 130 kilometers an hour, like 70, 80 miles an hour, then of course the consumption also goes up. That's a natural thing. Here the best of course with the Sportback version, rear-wheel drive and smallest wheels, that would be the best combination. But even then you could realistically calculate with some 500 kilometers or 300 miles for the big battery then. So overall good efficiency figures for this one here. And then the question is overall and also against the competitors. I think it still looks pretty cool. Interior has here and there some things that need to be improved. Hard to improve it also later on because, for example, the rear legroom, yeah, it's nothing you can do about it with this model other than redesigning it completely. So I think the rear comfort needs to be better in this segment here. Also the seating comfort in the front, there for example the ID.7 or the BMW i5 is doing way better in the Einsitzhöhe, like you know the seat cushioning from the depth here. So that should have been better here in the all-new A6. I think it's cool that you can choose between the Sportback and the Avant version. The Sportback in a way to me makes more sense because it combines both purposes, exterior look and the versatility on the interior, and it's also the more efficient one actually. Yeah, and then overall you have to think about this one here is so good in driving. This is where this vehicle is shining. Sporty but comfortable from suspension at the same time. So the driving dynamics here, plus efficiency, plus the fast charging, this is where this vehicle is shining. Then the question is if this one shines over the other things where the other competitors are maybe better.
So now to the conclusion about this BMW versus Audi luxury sedan comparison. The BMW 7 Series and the Audi A8 clearly offer a very cool riding comfort. I just love driving these. And yet at the same time they are of course way more expensive. And there you also have to say that the segment below that, which is still related as for the platform and so on, each BMW 5 Series and Audi A6, for the driver they already deliver a lot. The main difference is that of course this segment below that you have less space in the rear compartment. So we here intentionally also had the previous generations, and I really like the previous generation BMW 5 Series and also the Audi A6. So the Audi A6 would be the price performance winner in this case because used Audi A6 can be bought relatively cheap. That's very astonishing. Yet again, some also report on some repairs that have to be done, so you have to calculate that into your budget. BMW 5 Series in the previous generation, I also heard from my mechanic that some of the repairs on the suspension and so on can be quite cost intensive, but also the offers of the used 5 Series are actually quite decent. If you go for the previous generation or the all-new one, is then more a question of, hey, do you lease a new 5 Series, for example, or do you go for a used one? The new 5 Series has some optimizations, for example, even more comfortable seats and some more modern cockpit. Yet again, you lose the physical climate unit, so it has definitely pros and cons. Has also become even longer. Yeah, and of course, if you want an electric choice, then you have that one with the i5 then in the new generation. And the Audi A6 e-tron is the electric choice then here in the A6 segment, and it drives also very well. However, from the seating comfort, the i5 is better, and also from the whole interior experience, that was a little bit disappointing in the A6 e-tron, as a lot of the comments also indicated. So overall, I think I would tend towards a 5 Series, then decide if I go for a previous generation used one or an all new as the i5, or then as a price performance winner than the Audi A6 if you want to have the best price actually. So I really like the driving comfort in the A6 and in the 5 Series. Yes, the 7 Series and the A8 are even more luxurious in the drives. Yet again, yeah, the extra price is really hefty for these. And one of my emphasis topics is also keeping it animal-free in the interior. This is at the moment possible with the BMW 5 Series in the new generation entirely. In the older generations, it is somewhat possible, not 100%, but there are also good offers for the 5 Series. For the Audi side, not too much, honestly. So what do you think? Tell me your decision in the comments. Which one of these would you take? Yeah, and I think it's time to check out another comparison review.